Okay, thank you everybody for joining. It's a pleasure to have so many people joining. Right now, the count says 62 people, which is really amazing.
Wow.
And I know this session is going to be very, very helpful for a lot of people. Real estate has always been, even from the backwards in India, right? Not even in Canada, like back in India, the one dream that our parents always carried to have your own house, right? And that's something which has always been there. And then, when we come here as an Indian, we had the DNA to build our own house. But when we come to a new country, we don't know like where to start, how to do, how things work around here, right? There's so much of information. There's a process involved. There's so many people involved in between, and we don't know where to start, how to go about it. So this session is mostly going to be taking care of people who we think are the first-time home buyers, and mostly focused on that. As I said, like we will also try and answer any question for investor class, like if you're buying a second house or third house or things like those, we will try and answer those as well, but mostly focused on first-time home buyer. So before we start, let's start with introduction of Vancouver Desis. As a Vancouver Desi group, most of you I have already met, most probably, and some of you guys are first-time buyers. Vancouver Desi is a non-profit organization. We just try to serve the community. We are trying to build the best family of Indians out here. That's why we call ourselves a Bharatiya Parivar. We are all a family here. We are all thousands of kilometers away from our families, and friends and community is our family here. And all we are doing under the banner of Vancouver Desi is to connect people with each other and help out. And these sessions are one of many. We have done these in past. We keep doing in most, and we do not make any money. We do not try to benefit out of anything. And this is completely initiative to help people, in any way we can. So as I said, like if you guys have any sessions you guys want to do or anything like that, there's we don't charge anybody for anything. We don't take money from anybody for anything. If you have a session, you want to, do your own meetups, or you want to do, any activity, you just come to me and I will provide you guys the accesses or the platform that you need to do whatever. You want to, recently somebody came up to me and said, I want to make a group of playing board games. So we started that. In summers, somebody came up to say, we want to make a hiking group, and then we created a group, and then that group became very, very successful, and a lot of people were hiking, and like hundreds of people were hiking through our group. So we are here just as a platform. Okay, we are just here to help people. Think of us as just facilitator. The thing that whatever you want us, let us know, and we will try to make this. Yeah. Question from Tanmay is what is the name of the hiking group? So we have a WhatsApp hiking group called Vancouver Desis Hikers. So if you guys are interested, let me know. We are no longer doing any more hiking sessions because the season is over, but we have started something called winter activity session. So we have another WhatsApp group we just recently created to do a winter activities. So if you guys are interested in skiing or snowshoeing, let me know and we can add you to the group. And it's all, again, there's no fees, there's no charge, there's nothing else. It's like there's a guy I recently met, Nikhil, and he's a trained instructor, and he is willing to do all this for free for the welfare of the community. So that's what we do. Not to digress. So coming back. So this session is one of many that we do, and just trying to help the community together. And I'm so thankful to all the people and friends like you guys. I have made hundreds and thousands of friends through this group myself personally, and I've made a lot of connections with all of you guys. And I hope to meet the people who I haven't met in person. I hope to meet you guys someday in person, and forge a new friendship, and bring this family, make this family as bigger and the most helping family that you can have. Okay. With that, let me start this session, and let me share my screen, and just give me a second. My presentation. Yeah, let me get started on this. Okay, if I do this slide. Share my screen. Okay. Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah.
Do you guys see my the presentation? What do you see?
Yes.
The deck here.
The first time home buyer screen.
That's one screen with home buyers, first time home buyers, right? So
No, I
again,
think with
No,
the
no.
key point also we are able to see.
Presentation mode. It's
okay,
not
so
in the
you guys are
presentation
seeing the
mode.
presentation part. That's what I was worried about. It's
Yeah.
Yeah, now it's
Okay.
better.
okay. You know what? Let me do one thing. Let me stop share and share you another desktop. Yeah, I have multiple monitors and it kind of confuses this. So let me do this. Let me share my other monitor. So probably my desktop too. Okay, that's good. And now you guys see one slide with
Yes.
awesome. So again, welcome. So I already talked about the welcome, but let's talk about the key persons involved in a home buying process, So first of all, whenever you're trying to buy a house, the first person to go to is a mortgage broker. And we have, I will introduce the mortgage broker or the mortgage expert today in this thing. So that's always your first time. With that person tells you how much money you can get from bank to buy, what's your capacity to buy a house. So that's will be a very key person in your home buying process. The second person who in the home buying process is a realtor. A realtor is somebody who works for you. And okay, I want to give a disclaimer before all of this. So personally, I'm Amit Kumar, and I have no stake in all of this. These all people I know through our group, the mortgage broker, realtors, and everybody that you meet today, I have met through this. I personally bought and sold a couple of houses on a personal, because me and my wife, we love buying and selling houses. So I have acquired a little bit of knowledge on this thing. But these are people who I know over a period of time. The realtor who we have here, he's also my personal realtor and a friend of mine as well. So apart from that, I have no financial interest, or the Vancouver Aces has no financial interest in any one of these things. These people are experts, and use your own judgment to either use them or use any other realtor. We are just here to provide information for the community. Okay. So realtor is one who will take all the things that you require. Okay, what are your must-haves? What are your nice-to-haves? What things you would like but can compromise on? All those requirements of your dream home, they will take it together and get you showings of the houses that you want, and they will help you with negotiations and the paperwork and all the stuff that's required. Okay. Third thing is home inspectors. Home inspectors are, once you finalize the house, there is a process of checking out that whether the house is is in a perfect condition for you to buy or not, and they can, based on that, they will give you a home inspection report. Once all of this done, you have finalized, you have done your offer, everything, the last person who will close the deal for you is a lawyer or a notary, who will help you go through, become the middleman between your realtor and a mortgage broker and your seller and everybody, and they will finally do all the legal work required to do the house. Okay. Sorry, 1 second. There's some people. Okay. The third person that is there, fourth person that, so these are the four key people. So let's start with our first introduction, is our realtor, Rahul Rai. Hi, Rahul.
Yeah, hello, bhai. How are you?
Good. So thanks for doing this for the community. So Rahul Rai, I'll say I have had the pleasure of knowing Rahul himself for last 5-6 years, and he is my own personal realtor as well. And I've worked before Rahul, I've worked with a lot of realtors, so I can tell you he is one of the most trusted realtor I have met over. I've worked with many realtors, but Rahul is the one I trusted so much. But again, you can see with his credentials, he has been Rookie of the Year for 2017 to 2021. He has been consistent performance, and he has got a lot of awards, and he has a Medallion Club. I don't know how much you guys know about Medallion, but he's the top 10% realtor in entire Fraser Valley. So that's a pretty big achievement. So he will help. He can help you. He has a lot that you can see. He has a lot of experience in the industry and selling a lot of houses. And a lot of my personal friends, over my 30 of my personal friends have bought houses through Rahul. So he has an immense knowledge on this. The next person that the speaker that we are going to have today is Harshvardhan. Harshvardhan is also a very good friend of mine. I have also known him for 4 or 5 years. He has been doing an excellent job as a mortgage professional. He has a lot of experience. He also has done in past a couple of sessions for us for stocks. He taught the community about how to, the beginner's session for stocks. So he is not only a mortgage guy, he is also, if you want any stock tips or anything like that, you know who to talk to. So, but he's a great guy to talk to, always seem him friendly and very, very experienced and knowledgeable. So Harsh, you can say hi to people.
Hello, everyone. Great to have you all here.
Nice, great. The third speaker that we are going to have is the home inspector. It's people may not realize that how important this particular role is. I personally, when I bought my first house, unfortunately, my home inspector was not really that great. And I ended up buying a house which caused me a lot of maintenance trouble later. So I just wish I had a trusted home inspector like Ravi. So he also has a lot. He's a licensed building inspector, both residential and commercial, and he's a trainer for home inspectors, and he has more than 11 years experience. And you can see this thing. He is certified in a lot of different ways. So Ravi, say hi to the group.
Hello, everybody. Hello, Amit. Thank you for inviting me in your group.
Thank you so much. And thank you all of you guys for coming here. So let's get started, the session started. So first we'll go to mortgages, and because every time you do a house search, the first person that you should always talk to is your mortgage person. Because that's where even if you go to realtor, lots of people, what they do is they go to realtor first and say, you know what, I want to buy a house. What do I do? The first question the mortgage realtor will ask you is how much, what is your limit? How much you're going to buy? The people say, I don't know. I haven't looked into it. And then, some people say, why don't you go to a mortgage broker and check out your eligibility, how much bank is going to finance you? So, we are going to do our entire session you will see the entire presentation is to and fro. So how you should start and how you will go further, and then how you will come back. So we will do Harsh, then will come Rahul, and then Harsh again, and then Rahul, and like that. Okay, so we'll try and keep the flow as you will go through a home buying process. So Harsh, over to you.
Thank you, Amit.
Please give a big round of applause to Harsh, please.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Pleasure to be here to be of any help to the community. So, Amit, I have the control. I can change the slides, right?
You want the control? I can give you the control.
No, that's okay. If you want to do it, that's fine. But
I can give you the control here.
Great.
Yeah. Oh, it's asking me to. Oh, sorry. I don't think I can give you because it will ask me to restart.
Okay, that's fine. Don't worry. Then you
Okay.
can navigate. That's fine. So and even as Amit mentioned, the first step, the very first step is the mortgage eligibility. We have met a lot of buyers, and they always come with a question like, how much we can borrow from the bank. So it's not as complicated as it appears to be, and I will try to make it as simple as it can. So pre-approval means typically what we do is we assess your eligibility before even you start looking at house. We take an estimate based on your credentials, which we'll discuss later, and we'll give you a number. Okay, this is the purchase price you can go for. That's what essentially a pre-approval means. Now, how do we do that? Let's jump into detail on that. Okay, so and I'll come back to the journey part again. So the first thing which we look into the mortgage step is like, what is your income? Now, people can have different sources of income. They can be a business person, they can be salaried, they can be on commission, they can be on casual basis, they might be receiving some pension. You'll be surprised. The bank has ability to consider all kinds of income, subject to certain terms and conditions. So what we look in the income part is, what is the trend of the income? Is the income going up or is the income going down? If it's going down, it's okay. It's not end of the world. Is there a genuine reason? Yes, we can ask the bank to provide us an help, and they consider that situation as well. So do not worry or do not scare even if the income is going down a bit for a particular reason. That's fine. Second thing, what typically banks would look at is the stability. If you're an IT professional, making 70 first year, then 80, then 90, consistently increasing. So there is a stability, you know that. But if you're a business person and making 100K in 1 year and next year it drops down to 20K, and the third year it goes up again to like 70K. So there is a huge fluctuation. That could be one of the factors which the bank determines how stable the income is, and based on that, bank will make a decision. The other important part is assets and liabilities. Somebody may have $100,000 of income and they may qualify for $600,000 of a mortgage. On the contrary, somebody may have $200,000 income, but they may not qualify for the same amount of mortgage. Reason that a person has already additional debt. For example, somebody is having outstanding balance on credit cards, line of credits, car loans, education loans, personal loans, be it anything. So your income, your debt combined affects your mortgage requirement, mortgage eligibility. The third part which we look into this is a down payment. Typically, any buyer will react, okay, how much I have $100,000 income, how much mortgage can you give me? I would say on $100,000 income, I need to know the down payment first. So it's always a good practice to disclose the down payment first. If you feel, and I'll go into the detail later, but just to give you an overview, if you guys feel that, okay, I'm telling you on $100,000, you can get $500,000 mortgage, and you say, okay, I'll add $50,000 down payment, I can get a purchase price of $550,000. It doesn't work that way. There are a few other factors that comes into play. We'll come when the down payment portion comes in. We have a separate slide for that. But yes, your down payment is important. And the key factor in deciding the down payment is whether your down payment is less than 20% of your purchase price, which you're targeting, or your down payment is 20% of the purchase price or more. For example, if you're targeting $1 million apartment in Vancouver, and you say you have a $100,000 down payment, the rules are a bit different. And if you say I want to buy I want to buy $1 million apartment and I have a $200,000 down payment, the rules are a bit different. We'll come to that. But typically, income, your assets and liabilities, and your proof of and your source of down payment. These are the important factors which goes behind a mortgage assessment. So based on these factors, we provide you an initial number, a ballpark or an estimate that, okay, this is what you can have and this is what you cannot have, or probably this is a max limit. I want to add something. I would circle back to debt. In Canada, like in India, we started recently CIBIL, the Credit Information Bureau of India Limited. Similarly, in Canada and US and all, we have Equifax and TransUnion. So the important part in debt factor is the credit score as well. You may have low debt, but if you have a low credit score, that might change the things. You may have a high debt, but if you have a better credit score, that might also change the things. So always try to make routine payments, do not miss out a payment, and keep your credit score in good shape. That will be really, really helpful for your assessments and mortgage. Amit, can you please move on to the next one, please?
Sure. So next slide. Yeah. So I think next slide is from Rahul. So from till here, does anybody have any questions for Harsh at this point? I think I see one question from Dushyant. He says, house other loans in India, are those considered towards eligibility?
Well, by book, we have to disclose all the loans, liabilities all over the world. So that would be considered as a liability, yes.
Okay. And I think Ashok ji asked, who's going to discuss first-time home buyers plan? I think that's something we have covered later, right?
Yeah, it's a part of the down payment. We'll come to that.
We'll come to that later, yes.
So Samir is asking, there was a question by Samir, sir. Samir ji?
Samir, you can ask your question. So I'm going to open up this thing
Okay.
for everybody for now. So if you guys can unmute and ask your question directly, that would be great.
Yeah, hi, Harsh, I just wanted to ask, so how long does a mortgage pre-approval last for?
See, typically the bank says you can have 120 days. The deal has to be completed in that, meaning from pre-approval stage when you lock your rate, we submit an application for pre-approval. from the date of submission, you will have 120 days to complete the deal. That is where we can hold your rates and approval and all.
Got it. Got it. Thank you.
But remember, it's a completion. It's not like your pre-approval. You can't come after 4 months to say, okay, I want this property and pre-approval is valid. No, the deal has to be completed. So meaning the pre-approval has to be done and you have to find a property and you have to go through the whole home buyer's journey and do the completion at the end of 120 days.
And then just a follow-up question on that, then how long does it take to get a pre-approval normally? Like generally, I would assume it would be different for different people, but generally speaking, how long would it take to get a pre-approval?
See, I mean, we have done deals as fast as we have got answers in as fast as 24 to 48 hours and maybe to 5-7 working days. So, I mean, pre-approval is not that hard enough. We can, I mean, and obviously, I mean, recently, I mean, we have stopped sending any deals to the bank because of technical reasons. Bank, they don't, initially, I'm going technical and please ask me the questions if you have any confusion. Initially, we used to submit the documents to the bank. So they look at the documents and they give you the number. But there have been instances where banks utilize their resources and everything to give an approval, and then the business doesn't turn up. So the bank says, you can have a pre-approval. You tell me the number of the income and all the information. We will give you a number, which I can do myself. But they don't. But they add some conditions to that as well. So what I practice these days as an experienced mortgage professional. What I do is I typically do all the calculations myself, and I give you advice within like 1 hour of the meeting. Okay, this is what we can do and this is what we cannot do. We don't need to wait for 1 week or something. We just I can give you the number and it should be like pretty much accurate.
Perfect.
Harsh, previously, there used to be a general rule of thumb that everything being normal, the credit score and everything is okay.
Yeah.
The general rule used to be for every $20,000 income, you can get $100,000 mortgage. Is that rule still valid, or because of the rate in change in the interest rates, that rule is no more valid?
Good question, sir. Definitely the rate increase, the recent rate increase from the month of March till October have impacted that rule. But here I would like to add something more. The thumb rule is okay, 4 to 5 times your income, you can get it. But that is based on the assumption you don't have any other debts or anything. I have done deals where people have got 18 times of their reported income. And that's an exception. That's not a norm. I won't say it's applicable to everyone, but as a strong exception, we have gone a loan of $3.6 million on a reported income of $225,000. So it's like income, assets, liabilities. I mean, the assets base was very strong. The banking relation was very strong in that case. The revenues of the business were strong. It's just like the money was not in the personal name, money was sitting in the business name, and we kind of considered that. So talking about mortgages and the thumb rules, I would say thumb rules are good for guiding factor, but I really don't rely too much on that because every individual case is different. And every situation, we can have a lot of variance. We can have a lot of exceptions. Banks do allow us to deviate from the policy. Absolutely, not a problem in that. So does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think there's one question from Varun is, what is a good credit score?
Well, okay. Again, that's as per policy, you need to have minimum 680, but then there is a second layer. We need to have minimum 620, and I can confidently say we have done deals. When I say we, meaning myself at TD, I've done deals for people who had bankruptcy filed in the previous years, and the credit score was as bad as 520, 550. So good credit score is 680 plus, but low credit score doesn't deter you to get a mortgage. It can be impediment, but definitely there is a deal. If there's a deal, we will get it done.
And I would like to add one more thing. Harsh, you can correct me if I'm wrong. A score of 680 plus, even 700 or 800 doesn't mean that you will get a mortgage.
Exactly. That's a good point, Amit. Yes. Because again, debt part comes into that. As I said, like you might have a high score, but if the debt is too high, things will change.
Yeah. Let's say you have been making a lot of payment to your credit card, but your credit card holds a lot of debt, which hasn't been paid off at that time. Then, your mortgage can still be refused.
Exactly.
Or you bought a very expensive car. Those kind of things can play into factor. So Good credit score does not mean that your mortgage is guaranteed.
Just tying into that point, Amit. So, for example, if you're applying for a mortgage pre-approval, and you have a car loan, and it's just like you have around 8 or 10K left on that loan, is it advisable to just pay that off before applying for that mortgage?
Good question, Samir. There has been a lot of mishaps with the clients I've been dealing with. They went somewhere. Again, this is not to badmouth any other professional. This is just I'm sharing my experience. The way I work. I never ask anyone, and I don't recommend anyone, whether you deal with me or you deal with someone else. I never recommend to pay it upfront. We always assess the case. In 50% of the cases, 60% of the cases, we were able to get away with the situation. We don't need to pay it. So it always depends who is presenting your case, who is negotiating with your deal with the bank, and banks do allow to continue with the loans. It's not mandatory that you have to pay that. If we need to pay that, we take the approval from the bank first, and then we tell the bank, okay, you give us an approval and we pay it off if we need to. So it's always advisable. That's where the purpose of meeting a mortgage expert comes into picture, where you assess all these things in a pre-approval stage rather than having a house and only get the client later.
So then it might hamper your chances if you actually pay it off without consulting the bank.
No, it won't hamper your chances. It won't hurt you, but it won't help you as well, because you might qualify without paying a car loan as well.
Got it. Thanks.
So absolutely no, don't rush into things of paying off loans and everything. No, it's life. Everyone has a car, they have bills to pay, and it's just how you manage it. That's more important rather than what you have.
Okay, I think Madhukar has his hand raised for some time. Madhukar, you want to ask a question?
Hi, Amit. Thank you. So Harsh, I had one question. I think a couple of my questions were answered previously, but I just wanted to ask if you'll be taking a hypothetical income bracket and let's say a particular income and be going about how much a mortgage can you get approved in that sense, and would you be giving us an example on that, or can we ask for that at the moment?
Madhukar, good question. Again, as I said, like thumb rule is 4 to 5 times, as Ashokji said earlier, but it will be very hard to give you a specific answer on a specific case because we don't know the liabilities, we don't know the score. As I said, I can give you an example. I had an IT professional with $200,000 of income, and they could not get approved for $300,000 loan. On the contrary, I had a businessman who was reporting a $200,000 income, and they were approved for $3.6 million loan. I mean, again, that's an exception, but idea is it's on case by case basis. So I would be hesitant to give you any concrete number based on one particular income, because
Harsh, I think if you explain the TDSR, lot of things will become clear for them.
Good point, sir. That will be a little technical. Probably we can do it at the stage of final approval. We have a slide on final approval application. We can consider, we can do that. That's already the part of the plan.
Thank you, Harsh. But I think those could be like the corner cases wherein there might be other factors. But by going by what you said, the rule of thumb, 4 to 5 times, is that still valid for the current rate of? Okay.
It used to be 4. It used to be 5 times based on rates. I'm declining it to 4 times.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, I think Hema, you have a question.
Yeah, I just had a question where would you get approved for a loan on the house that you're purchasing and you'll be renting a part of it or renting it or something? Would you be approved for a loan like that based on that rental income?
Good question. Yes, we do include the rental income. There is definitely a policy that supports that, whether you're trying to buy a principal residence for yourself, like a condo where there is no rental income, or you're trying to buy a detached house where there is a basement, you can rent it out, or you're trying to buy a condo and you already had a house and you want to rent that condo. You can do all the things, all the 3 options.
So that's going to be rental income that I would have in the future, not currently. And that's considered by the bank.
That's right. There's a protocol, what is the rental income and all, whether it's rented, tenanted or not. And there has been instances where, I mean, to add this, it's a good point to discuss. We have a policy where somebody working outside Canada who's not even a Canadian PR or resident, if they make certain amount of down payment and they want to buy a rental property in Canada, we have done those deals as well.
Okay.
Yeah, so definitely rental income do help in getting a mortgage, no doubt about it.
Even if it's future rental income.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Again, I mean, whether how certain the future rental income is, that is something subjective, but definitely there is a way to get it done.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think there's a question from Nana. Nana, you want to ask a question?
Hi. I was just asking about the credit score that it needs to be a substantial credit score, right? I'm quite new here, like about 6 months and all that. Does it, is there a time factor that contributes to building that credit score? Like, will it be like a year or something? Or because I got my credit card just 2 months back. So how does that work like?
Yes, it do take some time, Nana, to get a credit score to a certain point.
Mhm.
But as a matter of policy, bank do consider people who are new to the country and they don't have a proper background. But it doesn't mean that you won't get a mortgage right away. I've done deal where a lady got a transfer from India to Canada, and it was the second month and they got a mortgage with 10% down.
Okay.
Yeah, so there is always a deal for everyone, every situation, whether you are within Canada, outside Canada, you just moved to Canada, you had a bad credit. There is always a deal. There is always a chance. We just need to explore that in detail. And I would say, treat your mortgage professional as your financial lawyer. If you provide the whole the detailed information, because I've seen some clients trying to be acting as a secretive, and they don't want to disclose information. That actually hurts the client. We in Canada, we have very strong privacy laws. I'm a part of TD Bank. We at TD follow very strong privacy code of conduct. So whatever you disclose to us or whatever my clients disclose to me, we never share with anyone. It's always confidential. So just share more information, and there is a deal for each situation. Whether you're new to Canada, you're on work permit. Yes, not on study permit, please, but yes, new work permit, new to Canada, and business person, casual, whatever job it is.
Okay, so we are going to take 2 more questions in the interest of time. So we want to go through the slides. I know that people have a lot of questions, so you can save this. Save this. I see 2 more questions in the chat. I will go to read that out, and then in the interest of time, we'll take care of more questions at the end. Okay. So one question is from Jaspreet, that the income we are talking about is the gross income or the net income on which the mortgage is calculated.
Good question. It depends whether your business, salaried, casual, contractual. There are ways to calculate bank's income as per the bank's policy. But in terms of gross versus net, typically it's a net income which bank sees in case of business. So you might have $200,000 reported in your company, but you're only reporting 40,000 salary withdrawn from your company. Bank will only consider 40,000. Even you claim that, and a lot of IT professionals, do that. A lot of construction contractors do that. They get a contract, they create the company, and they take salary from their company, whereas they're getting a lot of revenues. So it's net for business people.
Okay. Yeah, and to add to that, dividend incomes are mostly not calculated, right?
Dividends income are considered, yes. As any kind of income will be considered, provided it's depending upon its trend and stability and the source.
Okay. One last question I want to consider for this round, and then we'll move on to the next slides, is from Praveen. He says, if I do 2 full-time jobs and get around 250K per annum total, and do they consider both of them for mortgage?
Yes. In certain exceptions, I got 3 sources of income added to the deal, and we were able to do it. 2 incomes, yes, provided as long as they're reasonable. It should make sense. We can definitely consider that.
Awesome, thank you. So we'll move on to the next slide. I see there are 3 questions from Virendra, Subham, and Khushbu. We'll probably look into it later. Okay, so let's go. So thank you so much, Harsh. So far, we'll get back to you again. So it's time for, so once you have got your mortgage pre-approved, the idea of, okay, this is how much I can get from bank to buy my house. This is my limit. But take that limit. Now you go to our realtor. And in our case, realtor Rahul. Over to you, Rahul. Rahul, can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, first of all, thank you so much, Amit Bhai and Ekta, for organizing this. And thank you so much for Vanco DC Parvato for joining. Trust me or not, guys, I've been here like 17 years. What Amit Bhai and Ekta are doing is like tremendous job, I must say hats off to you, Bhai. Apna time dena, apna har cheez karna, not everybody can do it. Thank you so much, Amit Bhai.
Thank you.
Okay, so we moved to this country, for like a better life. हर चीज़ हमें better चाहिए है. So, and it's a dream to own your own house over here. Right now, most of us, we have rented in the past, right? So what are the pros and cons for the buying or renting? So the first, like when you're renting, there's less maintenance, there's low monthly cost, less maintenance. Anything breaks, your stove break, anything breaks, you don't have to fix anything. It's just like the landlord, or you call the property manager to fix it for you. A lower monthly cost, like the rents are pretty low. If you have rented like 3-4 years ago, now the prices have gone up for the rents, right? And it's pretty low. If you move out, then yes, the rents will be different. You'll be paying extra money. And let's say if the market has gone down nowadays, as compared to the last year, the market has gone down. For the tenants, it does not make any difference because we are renting right now. Shorter term commitments, which means once you have for the first year, normally we have the lease, but after that we are moved to month. You want to move out, you want to buy your own property, you want to go somewhere else, you just need to give like 1 full month of notice. And now the cons for the renting. Why can you please? Okay, so normally every year rent goes up. Nowadays, I believe it's like 2% every year. Let's say you've been renting for 3-4 years, you're paying like $1,200 or $1,500 for 2-bedroom. You move to like another place, the rent will be like $2,500, which is like a lot. And let's say if you're on the month-to-month basis, not in the lease, and your landlord, he sells the property, they can give you like 2 months of notice and ask you to move out. You have no other option. And if you've been renting for like a cheaper price and you are going to a new place, you might be paying like almost like double price nowadays. And plus you are paying for somebody else's mortgage, not your own. Like let's say you're paying like $2,000 every month and you've been renting for like 4 years, almost you have paid like $96,000 for somebody else's mortgage. And now what are the pros and cons for buying or owning your own house? Right? Can you please click? Click twice, one more. As I said, like it's a dream to buy your own property here. It's a peace of mind कि हमारे पास अपना घर है यहाँ पे. Over the time, you will be building your own equity too, which Harshbhai will be covering in his next slides, I believe. Potential rental income. Let's say you buy like a condo or townhouse. They are rentals allowed. You want to move somewhere else, you can rent it out to somebody else and let somebody else pay your mortgage on that. You move to like a bigger house which has a suites, you can rent it out and they will help you for your mortgage payments. What are the cons for buying a house? There's like a cost associated with it. Anything, let's say breaks or you have to fix it, you should be ready for that. There's like maintenance, like we have to cut the grass. You have to like in the fall, there's like a lot of trees, lot of weeds, you have to clean yourself, you have to clean everything. But when you're renting, you don't have to do anything. Most of the time it's the landlord who assigns a duty to somebody to clean it for you guys. Right, next slide, please. Can you open all of these? Yeah. Okay, so what does it mean when you are ready to buy a house? The first step, you go to your mortgage broker, you ask him like what you will be eligible for, Okay, let's say if you don't go to like a mortgage broker and you start looking at the houses that you own, trust me or not, if you're looking at the houses, you're wasting your time. The first thing you need to know is what your eligibility is. How much can you afford? But let's say if you have $100,000, I'm talking about the financial stable. You have $100,000 and you want to put like 20% down, do not put your $100,000, right? Save some money for, let's say you have expense for like 4 or 5 months at least, you need to have a backup for 4 or 5 months. And talking about, Amit Bhai mentioned must-haves. There's a must-have, nice to have. Sometimes we think, okay, this is a must-have, I need to have this thing in my house, but it's not, it might not be a must-have. It's something like, it's good to have. Let's say like a stove. I can't hear. My voice is breaking. Hear me?
Yeah, I think we can hear.
We can hear you.
Sorry, there was a like rattling sound from my side. Okay, and again, ready to buy, there is like a lot of maintenance you might have to do. Anything breaks, you should be ready for that. You have to devote time for the maintenance, let's say a roof. After 20-25 years, there's expense for $10,000 to $15,000, which you should be ready to afford. As I said, you should always have a backup of your monthly expense for at least 5 to 6 months. Right, next screen, please. Okay, 3 rules when you're buying a property. Do you guys know what the rules are? Why can you click? It's always the location, location, and location. Like sometimes people say, okay, if you compare the like the Vancouver property, why they are like expensive as compared to the Langley property, it's the location. If there's like a property which is close to, yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, open it all. Close to like a SkyTrain, it might be like expensive as compared to which is not close to SkyTrain or any public transit. Let's say like comparing A and B properties. On the left hand side, it's a brand new house. It's 2019 built, and the other one is like almost like 100 years old. I know you guys know the answer, which one is more expensive, but frankly speaking, the left one side is in Langley, and the other one is in the in the Vancouver area, in the main area. The left side one is 1.9 million, and the other one is like 3.9 million, or 1.6 million. The other one is 3.9 million. And just imagine, it's an older house. Somebody buys it, they have to tear it down, and they have to build a new house. And after building a new house, it will be over 5 million. So that's the benefit of having a location. Right? Can you go to the next one, please? Just click on all of it. So, yeah, 3. Thank you. Yeah. So type of ownership. There are normally 3 types. One is freehold non-strata, which is for like the single family house, detached houses. The other one is a freehold strata building. Normally, freehold means you can give it to your kids, pass it on to your family. And the third one is basically the lease. Normally, you might have heard about like the 99-year lease. You know, the lesser the lease is left, the cheaper the houses will be. When we talk about the market goes up, most of the time, the freehold non-strata and the freehold strata, those prices goes up. Not a big difference in the lease ones. And most of our Indian culture, you know, they don't even go for the lease one. We always go for the freehold, like the detached houses or the condos or the townhouses. Right, can you click on the next one? Yeah, okay, so type of houses, what options do we have here? The first thing, like, you know, like people ask me, okay, what's the best property? If you can afford, you have the money, always go with the property which has a land associated with it, like the single family house, because land is limited, you cannot build more land. So the detached houses, then comes the duplexes. Duplexes basically like 2 houses built on the same lot. They share like a common wall. So detached and the duplex, they do not have the strata fee, and they are not like too many obligations from the city or any strata council. The other one is like the townhouses and the condo buildings where there are like strata, there are like so many rules. What you own in a townhome or a row home, it's a multiple houses attached to each other, basically. From front of your door, the main door and the back door or back window, that's all you own. Even your backyard in the townhouse, you don't own that. It's a common limited property. If you have to do anything, you have to make any changes, electrical, plumbing, anything, you need to get the permit from the strata to do anything. Condos, basically, if you're on a 5th, 6th or any other floor, you know, you're not buying, it's not even on the land, it's a space in the air. You're buying a space in the air actually. And with the duplexes, detached houses and row home, normally there's no strata fee associated to it, but the townhouses and the condos, you have to pay the strata fees. Right? Can you click on the other one? Okay, so when you buy strata properties like the condos or the townhouses, there are three types of different rentals. One is the rentals allowed. Let's say you go in a building, there are like 200 units, it's rentals allowed. 100% can be rented out. This is the first choice for the investors too, because they don't want any restrictions. And normally the prices of the rentals allowed is more than the restrictions or the rentals not allowed. So 100 units, 100 can be rented out, it's free. And the other one is normally the rentals with restriction. Let's say if they're like 100 units, only 5%, 10% or 20%, depends on the strata, how much they allow, can be rented out. If you're looking to live in for a few years and then after like 4 or 5 years, you want to rent it or you want to sell, you know, then maybe you can think about going for the rentals with restrictions. The last one is the rentals not allowed. Normally the owners, they have to live in. If you're not living in, it will be vacant and you are paying for nothing, basically. When the market is hot, like I have seen that the rentals not allowed selling for a higher price too. But in the normal case, you know, like the market is nowadays today, rentals not allowed, do not sell a lot. So the first preference should be like rentals allowed or the rentals with restrictions. Right? Yeah, thank you so much. Okay, so talking about like, why do you need a realtor? First thing, what happens is when you're looking for the listings online, REW or realtor.ca, you cannot filter so many things. Like it will not show you what the rental restrictions on the properties are. It's because it's our system, the realtor system, Paragon system, which feeds the other all the other websites. The first thing, when you meet the realtor, he will take all your requirements and he will filter homes for you, what you will be getting in the email. He has the knowledge. He's been dealing with like a lot of people. He has the he can give you like a legal, not legal advice, but legal advice regarding the properties. If you want to view any properties, he can set up a showing for you. Normally, open houses, you just go, you walk in, and you can look at the properties. But trust me or not, guys, the best product deals you get is during the weekdays. If you have time, you know, go in the evening in the weekdays, you put an offer, you like the property, you put an offer, and there are chances that you will get it. Because on the weekends, everybody is out for house hunting. So sometimes like the seller's expectation is high, or you know what, I might get like a better price. So he might not cater your offer. So it all depends. And he can help you writing the contracts. He can give you like a opinion, what terms and conditions should be entered, you know, what are the clauses we have to enter. And if you need help with the home inspectors, lawyers, any other tradesperson, you know, we all have the contacts for that. And of course, definitely helps you with the negotiation. If you can save like 20, 50, 30, $40,000, then why not, right? And plus in Canada, you know, you do not pay anything to the realtors for the buyer realtors. Commission is always paid by the seller's realtors, right? It's the same. Okay. I think somebody posted a question, well, like, what is the flow for that? Let's say you meet a realtor, he will take all your requirements, what exactly you are looking for. Maybe he can guide you on something, like maybe suggest you something different, right? And once you start looking for the house, you like a property, your realtor will prepare an offer contract of purchase and sale with all the terms and conditions, all the subjects. I'll explain what the subjects and the other clauses are. And he will send you the offer to sign, because this contract is between basically the buyer and the seller, right? The realtor will help you to prepare the contract. So all the terms, all the subjects have been entered, like the subjects like getting the approval for the mortgage, getting the inspection done. If it's like a strata building, going through all the strata documents, checking the title. Title is basically like a copy of registry in India. It has all the names, like who the owners are. There might be some back and forth when you send an offer. It could be due to the price. They want to negotiate on the price or the dates or any terms or condition of the contract. Once both the parties are buyer and the seller, both the parties agree on all the terms and condition of the contract, and they both sign the contract, it's called an accepted offer. The first thing you need to do is when you get accepted offer is to email the accepted offer copy to your mortgage broker, so they can start working on it right away. So that's basically the second step, right? Can you please? Okay, so let's say, as I said, like one of the subjects is the mortgage, the other one is checking the strata documents. So strata documents, it states everything about the strata building. Strata documents, we already check for the strata buildings, like the condos or the townhouses. If you're buying a single detached house, there's no strata documents for that. So it tells you everything about the last 2 years, what's happening in the building, if they have any problems coming up, how much the contingency reserve funds are basically. Let's say every year they have to do some expenses, they have to maintain the building. Let's say if they have a $200,000 expense or $2,000 in their contingency reserve funds, and the expenses in the next 3-4 years is coming for only $500,000, it's a big no, because the rest of the money will be paid from the owner's pocket, which is basically you, right? And if they already have like $100,000, but they have already spent like $500,000, then you are on a safer side, because they already have done the bigger expenses for the building. Plus you get the home inspected. Home inspector Ravi will cover most of the things over here, but normally, just to let you know, once the home inspection has been done, normally with the older houses, you know, there is always like some breakage or something needs to be fixed. Maybe we can go back to the seller and negotiate on the price. Maybe we can ask them to fix that thing for us before the completion, before we get the property. Or if it's a bigger problem, we can back out from the contract. So we are not buying, or if there's like a mold issue, anything else, you know, then we can back out from the property. Yeah, and we'll start looking for the other property and we'll start the process again. Normally the home inspection should be the last step to do, because home inspection is the only process where you spend money. Reading the strata documents, checking with the insurance company, checking the property disclosure, or getting the mortgage approval, you're not spending any money. It's just a home inspection, where you will be spending money on. And the last subject is, once we clear all the subjects, mortgage has been approved, inspection has been done, everything is good with that, strata documents are okay, you got the home insurance, you got check the title and the property disclosure statement, you'll remove the subject. Removing the subject means you are buying a property. It's a binding contract and you are removing the subject. Once you remove the subject, you will need to put like 5% down. And let's say if you're buying a property of $600,000, the 5% will be $30,000. That's a part of your down payment. And that money is going for your buyer's, realtors, company's trust account. It's not your money. It's not the company's. It's not the seller's money. It stays in the trust account. And at the time of the completion, the office, the realtor's office, they will review all the documents, they will send all the documents to the lawyer to process them. And maybe after like 30 days or 60, normally 60 days, if the property is vacant, you can get the property early. The completion will be done by the lawyer or the notary. And next day, following day, you will get the keys for the property. Right?
I think that was your last slide for this one. Rahul will come back with more.
Yes, we'll back
But
to the-
in the meanwhile, I think there are a couple of questions inside here. People want to ask you, Rahul.
Sure, Bhai.
So let's start from. So Rachna asks us, what is the payment to the realtor from the buyer? Who does the realtor represent?
Okay, so both the parties will have their own realtor. Seller will they will have their own realtor, and the buyer, you should have your own realtor. A few years back, it was easy. You go to the open house, you can ask the listing agent. Listing agent is who's representing the seller. You can ask him to write an offer for you. And his duties were confidential. If he knows he can guide you on the stuff, But 3 years back, everything has been changed. All the parties, buy and sell, they need to have their own realtor. Okay, whom does yeah, so one realtor is representing the buyer, one is representing the seller.
And Rachna, as Rahul earlier mentioned, the payment to realtor, the payment to both the realtors are done by the seller.
By the seller, yeah.
Yeah. So the whatever seller decides that okay, I'm going to list this house, and then before listing the house, they decide on the payment to each. Okay, this is much I'm going to pay to the seller realtor. This much I'm going to pay to the buyer realtor, and then when you make a payment, when your bank makes a payment to the seller, then they pay out the commission to both the realtors. So next one is Samir's question. How does one get to know if the property townhouse is going to have a levy fees? Because that is usually not mentioned in the listing.
It's never mentioned in the listing. You know what? Then normally it's in the strata buildings like the condos or the townhouses. So once you are going through all the documents, it should be mentioned over there. And plus, normally we have a clause that any special levy approved or before the completion, that will be paid by the seller, not by the buyer. Yes, you buy the property, next day anything comes up, that will be on you.
I think one question is from sorry, where was it? Like Shubham, and I think this is my most favorite question ever. I don't know how many times this question has been asked to me and a lot of people. So do you think it's the right time to buy considering the current market time?
Definitely, yes. Frankly, last year I sold over 40 properties. Amit Bhai knows how busy it was. It was a crazy market. And every property I used to get, I had to put like 5 or 6 offers before that. We kept trying. It was so frustrating for some of the buyers. It was nowadays, if you're saying like, is it the right time? Yes, it is the right time, because this is the right time you can go and negotiate on the prices. You can talk like 1-to-1. Last year, it was so crazy that one seller was looking at okay, who's paying me the most, the high price? There were no subjects in the contract. You send the offer, you send the draft, copy of the draft, and it's sold right away. And people didn't even know how high they were paying. I sold one duplex in Burnaby. My list price was like $1,650. I sold it for $1,872. And between two offers, there was a difference of $75,000. But now you do get like a chance to negotiate on the property. So this is a good time, frankly speaking. I know, because if you're talking about like the interest are high, it has gone up, it might go down too.
Okay, so I think that's all the questions. It's there in the chat.
There's another one. By something called Form B that your realtor will obtain.
I think that's an answer to Samir's question.
Yeah. So that's part of all the starter documents. You will get it from the listing agent.
So does anybody else have any questions? We can like have 3-4 more questions over here. If you want, you can unmute yourself and ask Rahul that question. And I hope this offer process is clear to everybody, because this is important to understand. Right. So if you don't understand anything that you're seeing on the slide right now, please ask. If you don't know what an offer means, or need more clarification on inspection or subject removal, what these things mean, please ask, and we will probably, because I know most of these things that you see in the slide are new to most of the people who are to Canada. They don't have no clue. So if you are asking those questions, just completely feel free to, because we know that when I came here, I didn't know all of this stuff. I learned over time. There's a question from Dushyant. He says, what is the levy fees?
Okay, so basically it's like a special, we call special levy in the condos or the townhouses. Let's say the contingency reserve funds. Like there's like a
What
startup.
is the contingency reserve fund, Rahul?
I'm just coming to that by. Simple.
Yeah,
Oh,
because
okay,
you know, I know as like you do this on a daily
Okay.
basis, and so
Yeah.
it's sometimes it's easy to understand. Like
So you are paying
people may
like startup fee
understand.
every month. Let's say you are paying a startup fee every month for like $300, right? Out of that $300, something is accumulated in the reserve fees. If there are any expenses coming in the future, that money will be used over the time. If it's like a new building, the contingency reserve funds that will be pretty low. Normally, after 50 or 20 years, then all the buildings they need to have a high contingency reserve funds because that money will be used towards the repairs or the fixes. Did I answer? Did I answer?
Yeah, just to clarify, let's assume,
Very much
because
needed. Okay, so
I'm not sure if people know, right? If you live if you buy a townhouse or a condo or any starter related this thing, they collect a fees. If to make it more clearer, if you guys have lived in India, there is a society. Society in India and strata over here are very much similar, not exactly, but strata here has much more power than societies back in India, but very much similar, where they collect some monthly payment from you guys, and they use that payment to do maintenance on, like, grass cutting, snow cleaning, roof washing, and all this, whatever is required, window cleaning, all those things that they do on the exterior of the building, to that. But as Rahul was saying, that some of that amount, like if you're paying $200 every month as a strata fees, maybe $20 or $50 of that amount is going to put into a separate fund, which they may keep it, which may be required on something like, if something like tomorrow a big expense comes up for some reason, this roof has a problem or heating system has a problem, then they can use that contingency fund to repair that, so that you don't have to pay from your pocket all of the sudden, right?
Amit, can I jump in? I know strata has always been tricky. A lot of my first time buyers have always been asking what strata is. I just want to add this. If people don't know about society, I would take it as it's like your local, like it's a micro level municipality. Like you are paying taxes to your city for all your services. Similarly, you are just contributing to that complex, so that which is the strata complex. If it's a 50 townhouse or 100 apartments, that strata management is just like your city strata council, similar parallel to city council if you are looking in Canadian terms. And
Yeah,
you just contribute your money there, and then they manage it, and they have the funds for contingency there.
Yeah, absolutely. Just like your city council is supposed to make the roads and schools and all the stuff, whatever infrastructure about plumbing and sewer and all the stuff, the strata has a similar responsibility to maintain your complex of where your building is located.
Yeah.
Right. So they put this money towards contingency, which can be used in future if needed. Okay, so okay, I think there's so much negative impressions. Okay, so Varun asks, I'm not sure if this question is good for Rahul or Harsh. There is so much negativity that inflation is going to be high for years due to all the money printing, which will keep the rates high for 1 to 2 years, which will bring the market way down from today. How true are those?
Okay, I can take that. So that, first of all, that's a good question. What I would really say is don't go by me, don't go by Amit or Rahul or anyone else. Check the stats. I'll give you a basic stat, and you will have an idea of where we are standing and how good is the market. That will answer your question in terms of how is the market, how is the future looking, and all the aspects. In February, correct me Rahul if there's a right price. In February, the purchase price of probably a house, let's say it was 1.7 as per Fraser Valley Real Estate Board.
Yeah.
Purchase price average was $1.7 million. And the rates at that time were about hovering around 1.3, 1.4. Right out. Come September or October, the purchase price the same average purchase price in a similar locality in city of Surrey came down to 1.3 or 1.4. Am I correct, Rahul?
Yeah.
So if you guys see that $300,000 decline in price in flat 6 months, that is obviously because of interest rates. Going forward, the interest rates are going, as per TD Economics and as per the other economists and the consensus of the market is, we expect a rate hike of about 25 basis point to 0.5% in December or in January somewhere, in the next meeting, which is on 7 December. We do not expect further rate hikes after the prime lending rate. Sorry, we don't expect another rate hike of more than 0.5%. So as per expectations, the 2023 rates are likely to stabilize. They're not going to go up. And in 2024, they're most likely to come down, but not to the COVID levels, but to the pre-COVID levels. So you can't expect the rates to go down to 1.2 or 1.5 or something like that. They're likely to hover around 3.5–4%. Now, reason I brought this up is this: inflation is high and it's likely to be high for sure. But as an analyst from the past, I can share that when this certain level of interest rates go high in such a pace, it takes time for economy to adjust the effect of that interest rates. Like now you see the prices have already gone down, the grocery prices up, people will start cutting their expenses and all. It will take some time for that effect of increased rates to show effect in the inflation. So the projection is next year they're not going to cut down the rates, but rather they'll wait and watch the inflation so that it comes down as the economy settles down. Does it answer my question? Answer your question?
Yeah, Harsh. So sorry, I just had a couple of questions because I'm sure it's on everybody's mind, right? We are all very new here. Have come here with a lot of some of us with high-paying jobs, with savings from whatever we have worked. So we are all very scared of getting into the market at this moment because of all the news. Right. I've been doing a little bit of research, so I just wanted to ask a couple of follow-up questions on that, right? I agree with your point that there could be a 0.25, 0.5, and there could be a pause. Now, I was also reading on the Fed rates, right? And what I've heard is we are married to the Fed, right? Wherever the Fed goes, we have to go, otherwise the loon is going to tank, right? Which will keep the inflation high. So now what I read, I think it was of yesterday, that the CPI reports are going to be coming on November 16th, the October report, right? And it's going to be high. The jobs report have come very, very strong. In Canada, it came like 10 times more than they expected. 10,000 was expected, it came 100,000, right? So which means the labor market is very tight. Now, Fed rates are expected to be above 5%. So do you expect, as an analyst, do you think we will move away from the Fed, which means if we are in the range of 4.25 or 4.5 and Fed goes above 5, first of all, will Fed go above that? Secondly, if Fed goes above that, do we go away from that? If we go away from that, how does that affect our loonie and then the inflation in the future years?
Wow, so many questions in one question. Good. Well, I appreciate, Varun. That's a very, very detailed analysis, and I will be happy to take part of it because in the interest of time, these are very, very technical questions, and I'll be happy to answer that in person. But to give you a brief overview, I tell you what, based on my previous experience, there has been a scenario where different asset classes have different correlations. I'm going a little technical, and please I apologize if someone doesn't understand it, but I'm just addressing to Varun for a moment right now. We have seen correlations between stocks and bond to be inverse, perfectly inverse. But came 2008, Fed started quantitative easing, money printing and all, those correlations went in vain, like absolutely changed. So all these statistical measures, whether you say the interest in Fed going up and Canadian loonie going down with the dollar going up, yes, that the book by theory you're right. If the US increases the rates and Canada does not, the US dollar is expected to go higher, which means a lower loonie, and obviously our imports are going to be expensive. But at the same time, do consider the impact that oil export is going to be, is better. We will be competitive in terms of purchasing power for our importers to whom we sell. So there is always offsetting instruments in that. So going forward, there is a good chance that Canada might not follow the route what Fed is following. The effects can be problematic. Yes. Does all those economies know that? Yes. Will Bank of Canada consider these factors in mind while taking future rates high? Yes. You can follow a certain trend up to a certain extent, right? Job market today being tight does not mean that if you keep on continuing the rate hike and the market will remain like that. No, the job market, what you are seeing today is typically like, it's a lagging indicator in economic terms, right? You have to focus on the leading indicator, which is something like how many people are, applying for, a construction permit, how many people are, getting new jobs and stuff like that. So again, not going into much detail, I would say there will be countermeasures as well. There will be counter effect as well. I personally, not as a TD representative, but I personally feel that rates, Fed and Canada cannot follow Fed for a long time. They have to break the chain. They have to break that correlation, because if Canada follows the Fed, the US path, it's going to be a huge disaster, which I don't think they will do, especially with elections in 24, 25. The government will step in to do something on that.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. I think there's a couple questions for Rahul, and then we'll move on to the rest of those things. So one, I think, is was what is the common percentage of negotiation from the listed price? So asked by Sudhakar.
Yeah, frankly, nowadays, can you guys hear me? Yes. Okay, nowadays it all depends. Let's say if you're looking for like a property like $600,000, maybe 15, 20,000 normally. But it depends on the motivation of the seller too. Sometimes it's been on the market for like over a month or 2 months and they need to sell the property, we can negotiate more. It all depends on case to case. Not everybody is the same. Let's say Amit Bhai and Harsh Bhai has a property. They're like side by side, right? Maybe Amit Bhai doesn't need to sell it right away. He can wait, and Harsh Bhai has to sell it. I might be able to negotiate with Harsh, not with Amit. So it all depends. Unless until I talk to the listing agent, I won't even know that. But yes, we can try with the low balls, but it all depends. Once we talk to the listing agent, then it's more clear. Did I answer your question? So there's no like certain percentage for that.
Next question is from Samir. It says, isn't levy fee supposed to be separate? I heard someone had to pay $10,000 extra levy recently.
I'm not sure, Samir, what do you mean by like separate? That I saw one building in downtown and they had a special levy coming for $80,000. I just imagine they're like almost like 200 units, 80,000 each. It was a big expense coming up. And yes, buyer might have to pay the special levy if they have not put it in the contract. If there's like a special levy, then it will be paid by the seller. If it's not in the contract, then the buyer has to pay it.
Awesome.
And let's say if they already completed on the property and the special levy came after that, then yes, it's the buyer who has to pay.
So okay, thanks. So is there a way to, like, when you're looking at listings or that to find out if this property is going to have levy, or is that the only way is your realtor finding it from Form B?
It's not even in the Form B. You have to go through all the strata documents for 2 years. And plus they're like, when I'm talking about the strata document, sometimes they're like 400 to 500 pages. For every property, you cannot go through all the strata documents. Like at least it takes like 2 to 3 days to go through all the strata documents. Maybe so it was like mentioned like 1 year ago that there will be like a special levy. They never spoke about it. And the best way is to get the offer accepted, put it in the contract that if there's like a special levy approved, that will be paid by the seller before the completion. That's your best bet.
Okay, so there's basically no way to find that out before you actually.
Yeah, definitely. Your realtor should help you.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, there are 2 more questions. Then we'll move on to things. So one is from Ganesh saying strata is applicable to detached and duplex houses as well.
Sometimes it does. Yeah, there's a call like bare land strata. The fees is pretty nominal, around like $35 to $40 a month, where they can take care of the road, the cleaning of the road, and the garbage. But most of the duplexes and the detached houses, 95%, I'll say there's no strata.
So,
in the duplexes, strata is formed, but there's no strata fees.
Okay. So there is one more question from Khushbu, and I like this question. And I think I also like to, after the answer, I'd like to share a story which happened to a friend of mine, but I'll let Rahul answer first. Can someone back out from the offer? And at what stage? And do they need to pay the difference?
Okay, backing out, yeah, before the subject removal, yes, you can. Normally, you put an offer when you like the property. Because like whatever the subjects we are, like the subject for the mortgage, subject for the inspection, subject for the strata fee, anything wrong with it, only then you can back out, technically, legally speaking. And what difference are you talking about?
So like how, okay, so you talked about backing out from the before subject removal.
Before subject removal, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
So here I will ask follow-up questions, a couple of follow-up questions on behalf of the people. One is, what if I change my mind? There was nothing wrong with the house. I changed my mind. I no longer want to buy that house. I made a subject, I haven't removed the subject. Now I don't want to buy the house anymore, right? Maybe when my mortgage, and I put a condition saying, my mortgage was not approved. This is a very common scenario happens where I say, since I changed my mind and I say, you know what, I don't want to buy this house because my mortgage was refused.
Yeah.
I personally have heard that, sometimes if the market goes down in between, they can ask, show us your mortgage refusal document. What are the consequences?
Okay, okay, so most of the time they don't even ask for it. Okay, you just go, okay, the mortgage has not been approved. They won't. One time it did happen with me, where my client, he backed out of the property and nothing was wrong. And they asked for, okay, why are you backing out from the property? And it was really hard to get out of that situation, because if they ask for the proof, then you're stuck. Because your mortgage has already been approved. There's no problem with the strata document. There's no problem with the inspection, right? They can come. But 99%, they do not even ask for it. They take your words for that.
I'd like to share a very small story with a friend, which happened recently, is that they put an offer got accepted, and they went to the mortgage broker, and mortgage broker verbally committed that, okay, now your mortgage is approved. Unfortunately, they did not take it in writing, and then mortgage broker just said, your mortgage is approved. The realtor went ahead and removed the subject from this, from the property. So they put a subject-free offer, right? Okay, we are buying the house, we are final bill, and they even gave the down payment to the realtor. And when it came to bank actually approving the mortgage, the bank refused the mortgage. Rahul, what can happen in this scenario?
Okay, Harsh, I can put more light onto this. Okay, if the bank has not approved you, maybe you can go for a private lending. Just in case if you're backing out from the property and the property is let's say 1 million, you have already given $50,000 for the deposit. The seller, he will take the $50,000, and plus if he's not able to sell the property, there's a lawsuit coming for you.
Yeah.
So
do they have option for the private lending?
Can I add something to this? Rahul, that's a very good point. And with the decline in market in last 6 months, we have seen this more often than previous years. So coming first, can we back out? Rahul said yes, with what subject? Yes. But if you back out after giving the deposit and removing the subjects, you lose the deposit, there is a lawsuit, and the lawsuit can cost you thousands of dollars. It happened with one of my friends. They had some issue. They didn't complete the deal. There was farmland for $3.2 million. Now it is being sold for $2.2 million. So somebody asked a question on difference. So the seller is now suing the buyer that you committed me to pay 3.2 for my property, $2.2 million for my property. Now I'm only able to get 2.2 from the market because market went down and you did not complete the contract. So that the buyer was on hook for $1 million. That is the difference between the current market price and the agreed contract price. That's first part. As a mortgage specialist, it's my personal practice that I do not say anything in verbal to any of my realtor or clients to go and remove the subjects. I make sure that the deal is fully completed before the subject removal date so that my buyer's interest is safe. Bank technically, legally has a right to say no to a deal even at the last minute, because sometimes people will give fraudulent information, even if you're approved and you provided some fraudulent information and the bank said, yes, it's okay, you go and you pay and deposit. And later on, they find it out for some reason, they have a right to pull back the mortgage as well. So yes, from a mortgage perspective, we need to make sure that we are doing the right stuff. And definitely we should get in writing from your mortgage consultant that yes, we are good to go.
To answer that question in a very light humor, if you back out from the deal, same thing is going to happen to what happened to Elon Musk buying Twitter.
And then, sorry, one last point I missed on Rahul's question. If the bank says no, there are other alternate channels where we can get a mortgage. So
Amitji, can I share a story on this particular topic in short?
Sure.
A client of mine entered into a contract to buy a pre-construction, put an offer for a pre-construction apartment. Mortgage was approved, everything was approved. The agreed price was $440,000 those days. And by the time the construction became nearly ready, the price was $300,000, and he wanted to go back from the contract. He was prepared to lose his deposit. The builder told him, you have to honor the contract, otherwise I'll take you to the court. So even though the price for the market was 300,000, he had to honor his commitment of $440,000.
Yeah, that's what the essence of the story is. You cannot back out after your offer has been our subject has been removed. That's the essence of the story. There are a lot of consequences if you back out after your subject removal. I think I will take one more question from Vikram. He says, hey, Rahul, can you please talk about the cooling off period that's coming up in January 2023?
Hey, Vikram, very good question, Vikram, because everybody's talking about the cooling off period. For frankly speaking, this cooling off period should have started like last year, not this year. Okay, so what it means, the cooling off period is basically you send an offer and the buyer will get like 3 days to back off from the property. They need to get their mortgage done. They need to get their inspection done. If everything is okay, then they will remove the subject. But nowadays, most of the times, like 95% of the times, we are sending an offer, we are sending with the subject for at least 7 or 8 days, right? So cooling off period, like I'm not sure how that's gonna work because this is just for the 3 days. Plus, if you send like a subject-free offer, you will still have like 3 days to back off. And if you back out, then you will have to pay a fee for 0.025%. Let's say if you have like an offer for like 1 million and you're backing out of the deal, from buyer to seller, you will have to give him $2,500. So that's not a good idea. And all the realtors, they're still waiting for the proper guidelines from the government, how that will work. Let's say if we have we're still waiting for that. But if this would have started like last year, it would have been like so different.
Awesome. I think there's a question from Rashid, but that's mostly towards for Harsh. So we'll probably follow up on the rest of the slides and then we'll come back to your question, Rashid. So yeah, so we'll come back to Harsh. So once at this stage, what has happened is that you started with your Harsh, you went to your mortgage broker, you got your you got your limit done. Okay, now this is the limit you can buy. It's kind of in a pre-approval. Then you went to your realtor, you did all this paperwork, your subject approval and everything is done. You know, you have done your home inspection, everything, and then you remove the subject. Now you want to go to bank before removing the subject, you go to the bank and say, you know, I have finalized this property. This is the property I want to buy. Can you get me a real approval? Now here where your mortgage broker comes back into picture. So Harsh, over to you.
Okay, so guys, yes, okay, can anyone explain what is the difference between pre-approval and full approval? Just a rough guess. I want someone to speak up. Like what we have discussed pre-approval. Now you find a property. What do you guys feel? What is the difference?
Pre-approval is purely based on his paying capacity, but the actual approval is based on approval of the actual property.
Right, sir. Pre-approval was based on income, credit, and all of the assets and liabilities and down payment. But the missing factor in the pre-approval was a property. Now, you guys went to Rahul, got a property, and you bought a condo unit. This condo unit has a strata fee. So I go to you come to the mortgage specialist to me, and I compile the full application. We walk back to the bank and we tell the bank, hey bank, this was a pre-approved amount based on certain assumptions. Now we didn't got a detached house, whether we decided to go for a strata property. We didn't like that. We didn't like the house. We want to go for a strata property. And this is my strata information and all. So the bank includes the property information, whether it's a strata, duplex, or detached house, whatever it is. In a final approval stage, bank will see the contract, what you have written, how many days for subject removal are, what is the completion date, what is the actual purchase price. I told you the pre-approval, you can buy a property up to $1 million, but you might have negotiated to $1,020,000. So now you want $20,000 more. You might have looked like the townhouse, which is only for $900,000. So you want $100,000 less. So the bank will consider the real terms, which includes your previously reported income, previously reported asset, liabilities, and credit score and down payment, plus your property information, which you found out after working with Rahul and writing an offer. So we give the bank the additional information on the contract, the property, the added documents like addendum, the title, the listing sheet, the property features. Bank considers that and come back with a final approval. Now, what do banks check in that final approval? They need to make sure that your income is not changed in what you reported at pre-approval stage. There is no change in the income. They need to make sure that there is no problem with the property, because bank is taking the property as a security for their loan. So how do they make sure it? They make sure through the appraisal. You might like a property and out of emotion, you might be paying extra $100,000 because of your personal preference that, oh no, I want this property by any means. I'm happy to pay $100,000 more. But bank says, no, appraisal says this property is worth million. It's not worth million. It's not worth 1.1. So bank will only finance you the 80% or the percentage amount based on the appraisal value. Bank will not care what the purchase price is. So it is very important to have your appraisal done before you remove the subjects. There has been instances where appraisal was done after the subject removal. The appraisal came in lower and the customers had to shed in extra 100,000 or 50,000, whatever the difference in value of the appraisal and the purchase price was. So guys, be very careful when you remove the subjects. And that's why I come into picture, that I make sure that all the appraisal and all the conditions are done. The compliance is what we call condition, that make sure the bank says you have submitted these documents. We will need to check these documents are as per the policy. There is no fraudulent activity. This is exactly what we need. And then they give the final approval. So the summary is, you take the final property, you take the final check to the bank. Bank does a final due diligence in terms of quality of asset. We claim, sometimes somebody asks a question of rental. So bank, we tell the bank, hey bank, we got this approval. We got a detached house and this has a 1-bedroom basement suite. Bank will say, okay, we are happy to use the rent, the potential rent from this basement suite. The appraisal will go to the property, find out the value of the property, and at the same time, they will find out what is the potential rental income of that basement suite. That will be included in your income as per the part of the process, and you will get a final approval based on that. So pre-approval is just give you an idea, but the real fun is in the final approval. Once the final approval is done, appraisal is done, condition is done, I go and say, okay, go and please remove the subjects, give the deposit. This is where my responsibility is. Any questions on this? I mean, just step back.
Sure.
Any questions on the final approval stage?
Nope.
Okay.
Looks like.
Next step. So once we do a final approval, just step back.
Oh, still on.
Yeah. So once we do a final approval, what do we do? I got you an approval. You went and gave the deposit. What next? We do sign the loan agreement. It is a legal contract between the buyer, the borrower, not the borrower who is a buyer, and the bank. Then we sign the contract, and this is where the mortgage final approval process is complete, and we send that deal to the lawyer. This is when then the lawyer comes into picture to do the title transfer and registration, and that's where the process completes. Next slide, please. Okay, so a little bit on technical insights. Mortgage types. What are different types of mortgages? Basically, the banks offer typically two types of mortgages: a fixed rate mortgage and a variable rate mortgage. In a fixed rate, as we see, especially these days, somebody who got a fixed rate, meaning the payments will not go up. Whether the rates go up or down, they will pay the fixed interest rate on their loan amount. That's what the fix is. The good side is, in a declining market, if the rates are going down, the fixed rate can be a problem because you keep on paying high, whereas the people on the variable rate mortgage are paying low. But if the interest rates are going high, like in current scenario, people who want a fixed mortgages, they are enjoying because they're still paying the low payments. The interest rate is still low compared to what other people are paying. On the contrary, the variable rate, it is decided by the bank. It is decided by it is not decided, but actually, it is indirectly decided by the Bank of Canada. So the Bank of Canada has a Bank of Canada, which what we call as interbank rate. Based on the interbank rate, there is a variable rate, and that variable rate decides your mortgage rate. So if you decide to take a mortgage, which is a variable rate mortgage, you are bound to pay high rate if the rates go up. You are bound to pay a low rate when the rates go down. So you have to assess how the economy is performing, what is the future of interest rates before you actually decide whether you want to go for fixed rate or a variable rate mortgage. And this is where my expertise comes into play as well, that I've been given the experience and education, I tend to help people. And fortunately, I have been able to save thousands of interest costs to my clients by giving them right advice. Any questions on this one?
I was expecting a lot of questions around this, but
Yeah.
people seem to be comfortable around this.
Hi, Harsh.
Yep.
Yes, I have a question on that. So if I take variable mortgage, right? Then in case what happen if I can't pay my rate on time, so how is it going to impact? One second thing is, if I have the prime amount, the capital amount, so I want to settle earlier, maybe I got from some other investment or something like that. So how is it going to be work on that?
Okay, so I'll give you a recent example. What happened with one of my clients? They took a variable rate mortgage, and of course they were prepared the rates will go high, so they were okay with that. At TD, what happens is when the rates go high, TD does not increase the payments immediately. We only increase the rate. We only increase the payments when the rate goes too high and too soon, which happened recently. In previous years, I've never seen a payments going up even with the variable rate. What they typically do is they adjust your interest portion within the payments. Your payments still remain the same, but the out of the proportion going towards the principal, that goes down if the rates go high. For example, let's say you're making a payment of $5,000 per month on a variable rate mortgage. And typically on a $5,000 payment, you will have a principal of $2,000 and $3,000 as an interest in initial years. And the rate starts going up. Then what happens? Within that $5,000, the bank will allocate $1,000 towards principal and $4,000 towards the interest. If the rates goes up, then they allocate more toward the interest from that payment. And if the rate goes down, they allocate less amount towards the interest and more about to the principal. Now you said, what if you can't pay? Well, unfortunately, it's a risk which comes with a variable rate. It's an inherent risk. You have to make sure the bank gives you option. If the rates go too high, like recently happened with one of my clients, the payment was about $3,500 per month, and the rates went too high. Now the bank is asking them two options. Either you can pay $5,100 per month as a new payment because the threshold was hit, or what they can do is they can put $200,000 extra down towards the down payment, and they can keep the payments low between 35 to 400, 4,000. Sorry, 3,500 to 4,000. So you adjust the principal and interest based on the market conditions. That's what the consequences are. Does that answer?
Yes, correct. Thank you.
Okay.
I think there is a question from Khushbu.
Yeah.
Khushbu, you want to ask? Khushbu, you are muted. Oh, okay. Khushbu, you're muted, I guess. We can't hear you. Okay, so Khushbu, if you want, you can type down here and we can ask the question. Does anybody else has any question?
Yeah, Amit, I have another question. So in a downtime, once it got approved, so after 5 years, everything going smooth, suddenly I got a lost a job or I have some medical condition. So how going to be work on that? So what are the flexibility or what kind of the insurance are going to play on that?
Good question. Typically at renewal, TD Bank does not ask you, or TD Bank for that matter, any other bank, I mean, all as per the industry policy, they don't ask you for new proof of job or new proof of income. The only time any bank is likely to ask you the new proof of income or current proof of income is when you ask for more money. If you are buying a property and you're living in the property for next 25, 30 years, and you don't ask for any new money from the bank, you can just go and sign the renewal agreement at the time of completion of the term, which we'll discuss later what the term and amortization is. You need not worry about it. All you need to make sure is that you have proper backup and financial plan in place to make your payments if you lose your job. But they don't ask you for new income to prove yourself that you need to have this income to continue your mortgage after 5 years. You don't need to do the paperwork again.
Okay, thank you. So just following up on that, I mean, if I can't, so let's take this after 5 years or 10 years, maybe I could not able to pay on time. So it is possible I can put a pause on my payments. Is there is any other way?
Yes.
For maybe for one year or 2 years, maybe I have some personal issue, so I can't able to pay. Yeah, something like that.
Yes, TD Bank does allow that, but it cannot be for 1 year or 2 years. It will be probably 1 or 2 months, and it does not affect your credit. TD Bank does offer that facility of payment vacation and payment pause.
Okay, thank you.
So there is a couple of more questions from Girish. What is the minimum and maximum mortgage tenure one can get?
Minimum is depending upon your eligibility. If you can amortize, if you want to pay off your loan in 6 years, 7 years, you have to make high monthly payments, which means you really have to have a high income to qualify for that high monthly payments. And maximum is 30 years.
Okay. There's a question from Enigma. Could you please talk about the options regarding payoff loan in advance? Are there any penalties?
Yes. If you pay 15% of your outstanding mortgage, for example, you took $1 million mortgage, every calendar year, you can pay $150,000 down towards your mortgage and there is no penalty. But if you pay more than that, more than 50% of your original amount, there is a prepayment penalty. At TD, it's 15%, at other banks, it's 10%, I guess.
Is that fixed? Is this in fixed or even in variable?
15 at TD is same for fixed and variable.
Okay.
Some banks have like 15 and 10. I mean, I'm not sure if it's 15 for fixed or variable, but definitely like CIBC has 10% either on variable or fixed. There's a difference.
Is that available for every mortgage, or is there a special clause that you need to specify and get it approved in the mortgage?
It's pretty standard. It's a part of the mortgage agreement that this is a prepayment. There is a prepayment clause the banks gives you as a part of loan agreement. That's what I was mentioning about in the previous slide. Once your mortgage is fully approved, how do you put that on paper so that the bank does not back down from their commitment, and you and as a buyer does not back down from their commitment? There is a legal contract which is signed between the bank and the borrower that is sent to the lawyer for execution. So there is all the details are there in that contract in terms of your interest rate, your payment vacation, payment pause, your duties, your conditions for the approval, and everything is in there, everything.
So just in case, just to confirm my understanding, if I got, let's say, $1 million mortgage approved by the bank and I'm paying mortgage amount every month for $1 million, it is technically possible, and I won't be violating any terms if I pay 150,000, say in a 6-year term, and then I can pay off the loan in, say, technically 6 years, even though I have a 30-year-old mortgage.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Thanks.
There is another question from Khushbu is, what if I take a variable mortgage loan? Can I change it to fixed loan in future?
Yes, you can up to certain subject terms and conditions. You can. I mean, yeah, you definitely can.
I think there is one more question around at what time after purchase can I refinance my property?
After 2 months, if there is an equity in the property, or even after 1 month, doesn't matter.
Yeah, so basically, if the price somehow the market price went up and then you have equity in your property, then
that's right. Yeah,
you can do that. Yeah. Okay, there's a question from Shubham. Do I need to pay only 5% down as the first time home buyer? I think this is something we are going to cover in the next slide. So I'll hold on to that. Enigma, is there any way to avoid prepayment penalty?
Yeah, just pay 15%, that's it. Or pay the full amount at maturity. You don't renew it. Simple.
Okay. There's one more question from Varun is, does the rate vary by down payment? Like if I'm paying 10% down or if I'm paying 50% down, can I change my rate, get better rate if I'm paying more?
You get a better rate by paying less than 20% down, but you get less loan amount. And above 20% down or 20% down, the rate does not change. It's still same. There is always a scope of negotiation if the loan amount is higher. Somebody buying a $3 million property and putting $1 million down, $2 million loan, the chances are we can negotiate a special case with the bank that my loan amount is high. We can do that. We have done it in the past and it should not be an issue.
So,
but typically it's not 10 versus 50. It's either 20 or less than 20. But then there are repercussions for the loan amount.
Okay, so I'll take 2 more questions here. One is, what is the present rate of interest from Praveen?
Depends. Again, it depends whether you're going 25-year amortization, 30-year amortization. Ballpark number variable is 5.75 and fixed is in a similar range.
Thank
It's
you.
a ballpark. And the
Uh,
rates can vary from your rates can vary from the location as well. You're buying a property in Calgary, rate could be different. You can property in Surrey, rate can be different. You're buying a property in interiors of BC, Kitimat, rate could be different by 1 or 2 basis points. But these are the factors that go behind the rate.
And is there a difference between the rate of interest for first-time home buyers against others?
No, at TD, we don't differentiate between first time, second time investors. We have same rates for rental and principal residences, doesn't matter.
Okay.
But I mean, it's in the industry as a outside TD. Yes, I've seen where brokers offering different rates. I mean, the banks are offering different rate for residential and rental. But at TD, there is no difference. We treat same. But we do have special plans. We do a special plan for healthcare practitioners.
there's a last question from Deepak. Deepak, you want to ask a question?
Hi. I would like to ask, like if I had a mortgage going and I bought a house, and I'm getting some premium over it, like say $300,000. So can I close the mortgage and sell it off?
Yeah, you can. But as I said, I mean, whether you pay 15% towards your loan or you close the mortgage, the bank will charge you penalty because closing off is like paying off your mortgage. So up to 15%, the bank will say, okay, we don't charge a penalty on the 15%, but they will charge you penalty of the amount which is above 15% of your original amount. If you pay to close it, there is a way to save the penalty as well. The way is, let's say you're buying a property through TD, I did a mortgage for you, and I can proudly say, I mean, none of my clients had paid any single dollar penalty in the last 5 years since I started my career with TD. What we typically do is, if you buy a property, first property or second property, whatever is property you buy through me, and you want to upgrade, downsize, whatever you want to do, I can work out a strategy where there is no penalty. So we have done it in the past. You want to sell the current property, you want to upgrade to a house, that's okay. You can do that. The term is called porting. We can port your mortgage to a new property and we can save your penalty.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, guys. Let's move on to the.
Can I add one more question? Sorry about that, Amit.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yep, sure. Last question, please.
Just a follow-up question to that. So the 15% that we said about the amount that we can pay, does that include our yearly monthly payments and accumulated to a year, or is it additional to what we pay as mortgage every month?
It's additional to what you pay on the mortgage every month.
Okay. Sorry about that, Amit. Yeah, please.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. So let's move on to the next slide. So this is more of down payment questions.
So yeah, I mean, somebody asked about how much is the minimum down payment. Well, the down payment typically varies to your purchase price, in all fairness. As you can see on the chart, if you're buying a property which is worth $500,000, you can make minimum 5% down and you're good. If you're buying a property between $500,000 and $1 million, you need to pay minimum down payment of 5% for the first $500,000 and then the 10% for the remaining amount. But in case you finalize a house or a property which is $1 million or more, then minimum is 20%, no exceptions. And there's a facility called Home Buyers Plan, like RRSP. If you have money sitting in RRSP, you can withdraw the money from that you can withdraw up to $35,000 from your RRSP account to make a down payment, and you do not pay the tax on that withdrawal of money from your RRSP.
That's a very important thing. And $35,000 each person means that you can withdraw $35,000 for yourself and $35,000 for your wife.
Yeah.
So so that's $70,000 you can totally download. And that people who this is probably a much larger topic, but if you are going to buy a house, I really suggest you guys to look more into how you can take advantage of a home buyers plan under RRSP. It's really amazing. It can save you a whole bunch of money. So you should definitely, if you have more questions, we can take up later. But yeah,
I can just add one more point here. I mean, as a home buyer myself, what I did was I put some money in RRSP, and they have a clause that you need to have money in RRSP sitting for minimum, I think 3 to 6 months. I think it's 3 or 6. We need to
3
check.
months. It's 3 months. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you let's say you want to buy a house in July next year. You can start saving in RRSP now, get a tax benefit. you can start saving in RRSP next year as well for a couple of months. And then when you withdraw it in July, you don't pay any tax on that, number one. But additional point is that you have to pay that money back to your RRSP account in 15 years time. So let's say you withdraw like $15,000, each year you have to pay back minimum $1,000 to cover that $15,000 deficit in 15 years. If you don't do that, then the government will say, okay, you withdraw the $15,000, they will add it to your income and you have to pay tax on that. That is the
They
only
won't
com-
add the entire 15,000. They will add the $1,000 payment, which will
exactly
do.
whatever is due, yeah.
Yeah, so that money which was due for that year, and if you did not pay it back, that gets added back into your taxes.
That's right.
Now you'll add, they will consider it as an income, and they will add a tax on top of it.
Hi, Amit. Can I ask one simple question on this?
Sure.
So if in case I have a RRSP account, maybe from Scotia or some other bank, then I want to take my mortgage loan from TD. So do I need to bring all the money from all other RRSP account to TD account, or how is it going to be?
No, this is another method which I find very common in the industry and the clients. You do not need to have a banking with TD if you want to have a mortgage from TD. Having a banking with TD and having a mortgage from TD only gives you operational ease, that you have all your banking in one place. But having a banking with Scotia and having a mortgage with TD does not mean that you will be debilitated or you will be debarred from any kind of benefits of the mortgage. No, I have done most of the deals where people are having banking outside TD, and they got a better deal than their own bank. So you don't need to move anything. It's just operation convenience.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome. Any questions so far, guys?
Hey, hi Harsh. I had one question. So are there, apart from the RRSP home buyers plan, are there any other programs which helps or assist the first-time home buyers in order to save for down payment?
There was a plan. I'm not sure because I haven't done a deal on that, because personally speaking, I don't like that plan very much. I don't see that value in that plan. There was a plan where if you put 5% down and the government will contribute 5% to your down payment as well. You can total make a down payment of 10% to purchase the property. Sorry, but the problem with that plan is that the government is becoming an owner with your property, and you have to pay the share of the profit to the government as well. It's not like you're not borrowing for free money from the government. Basically, government is a co-signer with you. If the property price goes up, you pay the share of the profit. And I don't see too many people, because there are limitations. You can only have like 4 times your annual income. Minimum income is less than that, which is theoretically not possible in current market. But theoretically it exists, but practically not possible in current market.
Got it.
So effectively, this is the only plan.
Nothing like, I think I don't know if that's been rolled out, but I read an article. I'm not sure how authentic it is, but we kind of are adding another 8,000 every year for the first time home buyer, and you can save up to 40,000 for it. I'm not sure if that's still a process under work or not.
Can you repeat, Madhubar? I kind of like.
I was talking about, I think there was this first time home buyers plan wherein you can save up to 40,000, which along with your RRSP contribution, in order to, like you contribute 8,000 every month from your gross to save for the down payment. And you can save that over a course of time, and the total amount can be up to 40,000. I'm not sure if that's there or it's just.
I'm not sure. I'm sorry. I'm not sure where you're referring it to, but you have my number on the slides.
Sure.
I mean, I'm present in the group as well. Please PM me or ask in the group.
Yeah.
I'll be happy to look into more detail.
Yeah, I have never heard of this as well.
Yeah.
What you're saying, 40,000, saving 8,000 per month. Honestly, I've never heard of this as well. So
I can explain that. It is not first time home buyer plan. It is first time home saver plan, which is not yet come into effect. Government is proposing to start it from 1st of January 2023, not yet legally announced. What it says is every year you are able to deposit $8,000 into that account, up to maximum of 40,000 in 15 years time, maximum 40,000. And only advantage is when you are using that money, you are not required to pay back into home, unlike RRSP, which you are taking in RRSP first time home buyer plan, you have to pay it back into RRSP. But first time home saver plan, this 40,000, you don't have to pay it back.
But
Thank
then
you, Shobji.
is it
You're
like
right.
tax free when we put it into that?
Yes,
Yeah,
Amit,
you can claim RRSP benefit, but you need not pay it back.
Okay.
Thank you, Shobji. Yes, I mean, you're right. I missed on that. It's a plan which is not effective yet, but yes, they proposed it sometime back. And Amit, I see a question here, and I think I really want to touch upon it. Can we use a pre-approved personal line of credit in down payment? That is something a lot of people are facing this issue these days, where people don't have enough savings and they say, okay, we don't have enough savings, but we would want to contribute more to our personal line of credits. The answer to this is yes, subject that numbers work. And when I say numbers, I would like to come back to the Ashokji's point of TDSR and ratios. Without going much into technical details, typically what bank will do is they will say, okay, your household expenses, your mortgage, your strata fees, your property taxes should not be more than 40% of your total income. And your household expenses plus your other debts like car loan, student loan, personal line of credit should not be more than 44-45% of your total income. So if you are using a line of credit and your still ratios work and numbers are in line, you can use that. If you are not, if you're using that and numbers are not in line, then you're not allowed. That's the answer.
I think there's a question from Sonia for Rahul. Is the purchase price different from listing price?
Yes, it is. Our listing price is what the seller is asking for, and the purchase price is what it's sold for. Let's say somebody, Amit Bhai listed his property, you want to sell it for 1 million and you bought it for 950. So 1 million is the listing price and 950 is the sold price.
Or it can be other way around as well, right? I listed for 1 million and then I actually sold it for 1.2 million.
Here you go. Aap extra 2 lakh le lo.
So there's one more question, I guess, from iPhone. Having high approved line of credit affect mortgage approval?
Good question. Again, subject to liability, subject to policy. If it's an unsecured line of credit, it should not impact you. If it's a secured line of credit and you're trying to buy a second house, yes, it will affect.
Awesome.
Also, so sorry to interrupt, Amit. One more question regarding the same lines. If I'm going for, buying a second home, and I want it to be considered it as a primary residence, how long do I have to stay in my primary residence for? Like I already have a house. How long do I have to stay in that house and rent it out in order to buy another house as a primary residence?
I can take it. It depends on the story we are telling to the bank. People can move into a different house in 2 months, not a problem, provided there is a reasonability. And all you need to consider is talk to your accountant regarding the taxation, because I'm not an expert, but I'll share my experience. When you sell your principal residence, and Amit and Rahul might contribute to that. If you sell your principal residence in less than 1 year time and you make profit out of it, you're liable for a you're liable for a capital gain tax.
Okay.
So if you're buying a second house and you're keeping, that is something you have to keep in mind, but you can definitely move into next house 3 months, 6 months.
Not selling, but let's say I rent it out. I have a primary residence.
To be very honest, Madhukar, I did this personally in 2017 when I bought my second house. In fact, I got 2 mortgages back to back in 3 months. So first mortgage I got was in December of 2017. And I said, okay, this is my primary residence, whatever. I bought a condo. And then after 3 months, I said, you know what, this house is we told the bank that my family is grown. My parents are from India, come back here. So I need a bigger house. And we were able to get a second mortgage without selling my first house within 3 months. Okay. So in March of 2018, I got the second mortgage on a bigger house. So it is possible, but yeah, your finances and everything has to support that.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay, Khushbu, I know there are a lot of questions. We are running a little behind time, so let's finish up the slides and we'll hold all the questions at the end. Okay. So, yeah. Harsh.
Yeah. Okay, sorry, got digress for a second. So these are the key terms which one should know as a first-time buyer. Amortization. This is defined as the tenure for which you are borrowing the loan, and you have to pay that loan back in that tenure, meaning 25 years or 30 years or 15 years. If I buy a house and the assumption is I don't sell it, if I buy a house today and I'm making 20% down, I can ask the bank that I need this loan for 30 years and I will repay this $1 million in 30 years. At the end of the 30 year, I'm the freehold owner of the house with no debt outstanding on that. You can only get up to 30-year amortization if you are making 20% down. If you're making less than 20% down, you have to repay that loan back in 25 years. The banks and the government does not allow you about with a higher than 25-year amortization if you're making less than 20% down. Now, term, we have that's so amortization is 25 or 30, subject to your down payment. The term. This was the point which we're discussing in one of the Q&A, where they said, what happens after 5 years if I lose my job or someone else? I think that was a context of the question. So the term is what happens that the bank, every bank in Canada, they offer you rate, today's rate for next 5 years or 3 years, whatever term you decide. And the meaning, the implication is that after the term, whether it's 3 year or 5 year or 1 year or 10 years, it can vary from 1 to 10. So you mutually agree that after 5 years, you will take the rate which is approved, which is applicable at that point of time. You cannot have a rate today and have a same rate for next 30 years. Your rate is bound to change after the term you decide. Typically, people will buy a rate for 5-year fixed or variable. That 5-year fixed or variable, sorry, that's the rate most of the people will take. Which means that you're taking a loan for 30 years, and today your fixed rate is, let's say, 6% for 5 years. Is a 5-year fix is 6%. So after 5 years, in November of 2027, somebody who bought a mortgage today, in November 2027, they will go to the bank and they will ask the bank, what is my new rate? They have a choice to go to a fixed rate or variable rate at that point of time as well. And you sign a new contract. Bank does not ask you about your paperwork, about income and anything. You just sign it and walk out of the branch, you're fine. So the term is when you reset your rate, in fixed, it can vary from 1 to 10, sometimes in even 6 months. In a variable rate, it's typically 5 year. And in special products, it's 3-year variable and 5-year. Variable rate does not come in 1, 2, or 3, 5, or 10-year terms. It is only 3 and 5. Okay. Our interest is most important aspect. I would say, yes, they are one of the most important aspects, but not the only important aspect. For example, when you're dealing with different banks, you're dealing with different institutions, that's one way to select who do you want to get your mortgage from. The other point you need to consider is the person who's dealing with your mortgage. Are they available after hours? Are they providing you better service? Do they have enough expertise to get you to the requirements what you have? Some banks will have only online presence. For example, Simply or some banks in back east, they won't have a physical presence here. So do you want a service to be in the branch or do you want service to be online? That could be one factor which you want to look in while choosing a bank, where to go. Are you going with a federally regulated bank, someone like Top 5, BMO, RBC, TD, or are you looking for a credit union who are not federally regulated, but who are locally, and you cannot, and let's say you're buying today property in Vancouver, and after 2 years you want to plan to move to Toronto. You might be better off selecting a federal institution, because then you can get your mortgage service through the same bank all over Canada. Going to a credit union, you will have to deal with them online, or you have to travel back in person if you are moving out of the province and you're having a mortgage with the local credit union. Okay. Stress test. One of the most burning questions I get these days. What this means is, it was introduced back in 2018, and the objective of this was to ensure that people do not overstress themselves. So there is a difference between the rate which you pay to the bank, which is today at 5.75 estimated average, and there is a difference at which you qualify. So stress test is that the bank assumes that today the rate is 6%, what if the rate goes to 7% or 8%? Can you guys qualify for the mortgage at 8%? They want to make sure that you can make a payment. So how that check is, basically what they do is they will say, okay, today the rate is 6%. We need to ensure if rate gets to 8%, you guys can still afford the mortgage. So the loan amount approved, I repeat, the loan amount approved will be based on 8%, which is 2% than your current rate. But the payments you're going to make to the bank is going to be at 6%, which is current rate. All it means is bank is making sure that today the rate is 6%, you think you can afford the payments, it's good. But if the rate goes higher, which is the scenario right now, the banks need to make sure that even if it goes to 8%, you are still able to afford the mortgage, you don't default. That is where they apply the stress test. And this is to help the buyers not to over leverage themselves. Insured mortgages, what it means is there are two types of mortgages, what we define as the one is insured, another is conventional. We call insured mortgages where you pay less than 20% down and you need to buy an insurance from the government of Canada. So the theory behind that is that you go to the bank and say, hey, I want 5%, I have 5% down payment and I want to buy this townhouse. The bank says, no, we don't give you mortgage, we need minimum 20%. So in order to help the buyers, the government stepped in, government said, okay, we will guarantee that the buyer will pay this mortgage. We will guarantee that you pay 5% down and you give 90% loan amount, 95% loan amount. So for that 95% loan amount, what you need to do is you need to buy a CMHC insurance. It's called Canada Mortgage Housing Corporation. It's a government set up body. They come in between. They say, okay, we are guaranteeing this mortgage. So in insured mortgages, you take two approvals, one from the bank and other, you take an approval from the insurance. Once they both agree, then your mortgage is approved. And if you make more than 20% down or 20% down, you are out of this insured mortgages. There is no extra cost to you. In insured mortgages, there is a premium involved in that. For example, I'm buying an apartment for $500,000 and I'm paying 5% down. So my loan amount is 475. I have to pay a premium on 475. So that the CMHC is guaranteeing that, okay, Harsh is paying me the premium on 475 as an insurance, that if Harsh defaults, CMHC will pay the government. Sorry, pay the bank. So the bank says, okay, your mortgage is insured. I'm secure. I'll give you the loan. That's what the insured mortgage means. And insured mortgages, you cannot get a mortgage for more than 25 years. It has to be only 25 years. The payments are going to be higher. Your loan amounts are going to be restricted. Your terms and conditions are going to be marginally restricted compared to your payments where mortgage down payment where it's 20%. I know it's a little overwhelming, but please feel free to ask any questions.
I think we'll wait for the questions at the end a little bit.
I ask, can I ask question now or?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. Okay. So here, this insurance mortgage. So what I understand is like this government is taking insurance if I pay down percent less than 5%. Less than 20%.
That's right.
They come into the picture. So bank, me, and the government insurance, three play in a role.
That's right.
So if I pay more than 20%, the government doesn't care. So you and the bank. So I mean, I and bank have to deal with this mortgage.
That's right.
Yes, right. So this insurance, it's only for the bank loan, which the bank going to give it. So it's not this insurance anything related to the building, the house.
No,
okay.
It's insurance purely for the mortgage loan which the bank is giving to you, and it is mandatory for everyone making less than 20% down. Even if you are making 19.9% down, the bank will ask you to go to the insurance company, CMHC or Genworth or other brokers, other insurance providers. They will ask you to go there, get approval done, and then basically you don't do it. It's the bank who does it. It's integrated within the bank's approval system.
Okay, thank you. So just follow up on that. If in case I pay 15% down payment, so the insurance will come into the picture. So this insurance, let's take it as, so what's this if I pay 15%? So the 85% of that, they will charge a interest rate, right? So, sorry, what do you call? the insurance fees, whatever it is. So
Yeah.
how much percentage? But if in case this current interest rate, the bank loan, which is going to give like a 6%, maybe in the future is going to be 8%.
Yeah.
So this 6% to 8% interest rate, it's also consider, it's also impact on the insurance side.
That's right. So, okay, let me elaborate an example. Let's say you're buying an apartment for $500,000 and you're putting 5% down, which is $25,000 of $500,000. Now your loan amount is $475,000, which is going towards your purchase of the house, the $475,000. Okay. On that $475,000, there is a 4% fees, which is about $19,000. That is added to your mortgage, but it does not go towards your purchase. It goes towards the loan, which is financed by the bank. So you basically pay 5% down, but your total loan amount will be about $475,000 plus another $14,000 or $19,000, something in that range, which is 4%. And bank will charge you interest on that $475,000 plus the CMHC insurance premium. The bank finances it for you, and that extra 4% reduces your capacity to borrow, because that becomes a part of your approval amount. Your premium is included in the approval amount. You cannot go beyond the ratios in that.
Okay, yes, very clear. Thank you. So which means this amount is for 25 years term, if in case I take it. So this insurance, that 4% you said it's for the overall 25 years, right?
That's right. You buy a property for $500,000, loan amount 475 plus 19,000. 494 is the loan amount. Total 494 has to be paid back to the bank in 25 years.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Okay, moving on.
Yeah, that's the down payment we discussed earlier. For $500,000, 5% is sufficient. But if it's like between $500,000 and $1 million, first 5% is on the first $500,000, which is 25, and the difference between $500,000 and the purchase price, which is $800,000. In this case, we have $3,000 the difference. So you have to pay 10% on the remaining $300,000, which is $30,000. So the minimum down payment for $800,000 purchase is $55,000. And if you do $1 million or over, it's flat 20%. Okay, so market trend interest rates, I think we discussed that earlier in the question answer session. I would like to skip it rather in favor of time. The expectations are no more, half a percentage point or quarter percentage in coming meetings, and 2023 expected to be flat. Rates are likely to go down probably in 2024, but not to COVID levels, but to pre-COVID levels. I'm expecting an average rate, a variable rate should be about 3%, 3 to 3.5%. That's a standard, like 3% rate.
Awesome. Thank you, Harsh. So we will park any questions towards the end because we have a couple more slides to go. So we'll quickly go through those and then we will open up for question and answer session at the end. So thank you, Harsh, for being so patient with all the questions and providing so much great info. Thank you.
Most welcome.
So once now your mortgage is approved, this thing. So one of the things that is in your subject is home inspection. You want to make sure that your house is solid. There's no any unexpected surprises. You're not left with huge maintenance issues later. That's where your home inspectors come into the picture. They make sure that the house is solid. So Ravi, over to you.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for the opportunity to discuss home inspections in your group. So first of all, I'm Ravi. I'm a home inspector since 2011, and I did more than 4,000 homes inspected here. And I'm also a member of a Service Canada. Normally, the inspections done for the foreign workers kind of stuff. Also, we are doing the mode inspections here in the BC as well as thermal scanning. So for the first-time home buyers, it's an assumption that we are only looking for defects. We are not only looking for defects. We are also looking for different kind of a stuff like for your insurance, there are some red flags in the homes like polybutylene pipes, aluminum wiring kind of a stuff, right? The home your home insurance company need to know about all these stuff, and the home inspector will let you know what kind of material normally they use in the home, and there are some other safety issues, like if there is kind of mold in the house, or maybe different kind of overheated electrical circuits kind of stuff. And we are also providing information like in case of emergency, what to do, like where's your main water shut off is located, where's your main electrical shut off is located, those kind of stuff, and how to test the smoke alarms and carbon monoxide alarms kind of stuff. So other than that, there are some problematic stuff, like if you go to the WorkSafe BC website, you will find there are some red flag materials like asbestos, vermiculite insulation, or the oil tanks kind of stuff. We are not basically looking for these things, but we are normally guide our clients. If the property is old or within a certain time, then you have to go with these services too. So in a home inspection for the first time home, number one problem with the first time home buyers, basically they think that we don't know anything. So whatever the home inspector explain, they're just listening and they don't read the report. I would highly recommend that first of all, you have to accompany the home inspector personally. They think that just like a mortgage broker or maybe the realtor or the appraiser, they don't need to go personally to the property or something like that. But a home inspection is something different. We are going physically to the property, inspecting each and every room. It's better. It's a good opportunity to go with us and at your prospective home. It's a long 2-hour process, and probably everybody, you have a lot of time to ask the questions. You will see everything, and we'll let you know what to do, what not to do, right? So another important stuff is sometimes people that we are commenting on each and everything. We are not commenting on cosmetic stuff. Like if there's missing paint, little bit kind of stains, something like that, we are not commenting. We are looking for the problems. If they are going to be a big problem like roof leaks or any kind of plumbing leaks or any kind of mold issues kind of stuff, right? But for the first time prospective, the number one thing is you should learn the house. We, as a home inspector, we normally teach, just like you are buying a new car or something like that. We are let you know that how you can handle the house. First time buyers, especially from back in our country, in India, the temperature difference between inside and outside is not much. Normally we have a same temperature difference over there. But here we have to maintain a certain level inside in summer as well as in the winter. So there are some condensation relating issues. There are some different air quality kind of issues are there. Normally we have to turn on, technically we have to circulate the air at least. There must be one air change in 1 hour, meaning we are living in a house and we shut off everything. We are not circulating the air. Newer buildings are so airtight. We basically have to manually circulate the air, and people sometimes have some elderly people and small children sometimes facing the issues, and they have some allergies and everything. And in our house, we are going to the doctors. These are the number one problem normally people facing nowadays. Like new people, even students, you can see in the basement they're drying their clothes, they're washing their clothes and drying their clothes inside, and you can see in the corner there's so much mold over there, and they basically just ignorant. They don't know what to do. So this is the stuff normally we are teaching people instead of any kind of major issues or something like that. We are teaching people that how to use the house. So this is basically for the first time home buyers. Inspection is basically depends upon the area. Sometimes the homes located in Vancouver or coastal area is entirely different than the homes than in Surrey, or it depend upon the age of the house, right? Sometimes we think we are buying a new condo or new townhouse or a brand new house. We don't need inspection. But inspection is something different. Inspection is not only to find out the problems, we are also teaching you how to use it. And secondly, in the trade, city inspectors are not looking everything. They are not going to the roof. They are not commenting on the safety issues or something like that. City code are entirely different in the home inspection. Another important stuff I want to discuss with the first time home home buyers is, sometimes what happens, we have like assumption that the new homes has warranties. New homes has warranties, and we don't need to worry about the inspection. If something went wrong, then we will just call the warranty or the builder, they will fix it. Sometimes people missed insulation in the attic. You will can never come to know that there is a missing insulation spot in the attic or something unless you don't know the problem. You can ask the builder to fix it. So it's better. The home inspection fees is not too much. It's about $500 to $700 depending upon the location and the size of property. It's better to go for the inspection. And nowadays there's a cooling off period. You have a time. You can just call the inspector. They can write the report same day. You can book and they can do the inspection and write the report the same day. Maybe mortgage is not possible even 2-3 days. Your mortgage broker will let you know. But inspection is very much possible. So don't, I would recommend you don't skip the inspection. Nowadays, realtor, the experienced realtor like Rahul and all these professionals, they are doing writing subject for the inspection. But in case if somebody asking you, okay, don't go for the inspection, house is new and don't worry about that, don't listen to them. And inspection is very, very crucial. And if you have a question of any kind, I'm always available in your local languages, maybe Hindi, Punjabi, whatever the language. If you have a question, if you're looking for a house, and if you think that, okay, I have a concern of this thing or you're buying, I'm available all the time in our community. So we have a team of inspectors in Surrey and all over the lower mainland as well as in the Fraser Valley. So you are always welcome, and then we are ready to answer all your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ravi. Thanks a lot. Yeah, I would agree with Ravi. I personally have used home inspectors in all my houses that I bought. And it's really, really very important. When the last house that I bought through Rahul, I was very skeptical about that house myself. It's a personal story because I saw a lot of patches. I was not sure if it was a water damage. Was there any mold inside it? I, in fact, hired 2 different home inspectors to make sure that, at least one of them can catch what is wrong. And I paid extra for thermal imaging of the house. Like, that's how they can catch whether there is a mold inside the walls or something like that. And to tell you guys, it's not only a peace of mind, it's extremely important. So yes, if anybody says, if it's a new house, why do you want to pay extra on this thing? You will be surprised. Sometimes builders all the time, they cut corners to save on cost and all stuff, and home inspection should never be skipped. So thank you, Ravi, for your time and this thing. So the last section of this, now you have finished your, you have chosen a house, your mortgage is approved, you have done your home inspection, you are all set with, I'm all set. Now, what do I require to get the possession of the house, the keys of the house? To cover that side, we'll welcome back Rahul. Rahul?
Thank you so much, Bhai. Thank you so much, Roy Bhai and Harsh Bhai. Okay, so coming, we have done the process, okay, we have removed the subject. So what expenses are we looking at? How much money do we need? Normally we say, whatever the purchase price is, we need like 2.5% of that. So let's talk about the deposit. Deposit is 5%, but deposit is a part of your down payment, okay? And at the end, to complete the deal, you need a notary or the lawyer, or lawyers charge a little bit extra, but notaries are around like 800, 850. And if you go with the lawyer, they will be doing pretty much the same thing, which will be around like $1,000 plus disbursement expenses. Like sometimes they need to order the documents from the city or sometimes from the strata. So that adds up, right? And inspection, depending on the size of the house, if like a smaller, maybe 400, 450, the bigger houses will be a little more. There's like a property transfer tax, which you need to pay. There's like a one-time charge when you buy the property. I'll explain the property transfer tax in the next slide because it's in the detail. The other one is a prepaid utility bill. Let's say there's like a property taxes. There's a difference between the property taxes and the property transfer taxes. Property taxes is what you pay like every year. Property transfer taxes is something which you will pay when you buy the property. It's just one time. Okay, and let's say you bought like a property on 15th of November and your strata fee is around like $300. So basically for first 15 days, seller will be paying the strata fee. For next 15 days, it will be you. It will be on the prorated basis, and your lawyer or the notary, they will do all the calculations for you, and they will let you know how much money you owe to them. And the other one is the GST. When you buy like a brand new property, you have to pay GST on top of it. So the basic rule is if the property brand new per unit is under 350, which is hard to find nowadays, you pay like 5%. Let's say $400,000. You buy like a condo, 1-bedroom condo. There's like will be $20,000, or if you calculate 5% on it. And the other calculation is if you buy a property, brand new product, which is over 750. If it's less than 750, you pay straight for 5%. If it's over 750 and less than $800,000, you pay 5% GST plus the partial property transfer tax. If you Google partial property transfer tax for the a brand new construction, you'll see all the calculation. For 751 will be different, and for 770 will be different. But if the property is over $800,000, you pay 5% GST, which should be $40,000 plus your property transfer tax. Mike, can you go to the other screen?
Sure.
I'll show you the calculations over here. Okay, so just starting from the beginning, the first one is the 5% of the deposit is standard. But let's say if you're a little bit less, we can talk to the listing agent and maybe you can send like 4% or 3%, whatever it is. So going to the point 4, 4 and 5, I'll cover over here. Let's say you buy like an older property. It's a resale that was like a few years ago. If the property is under $500,000 and your first time home buyer, you're buying a principal residence, under $500,000, you do not pay any property transfer tax. If the property purchase price is between $500,000 to $525,000, you pay partial. Like 501 will be different, 524 will be different. But if the property price is over 525K, then you pay the full property transfer tax, which is 1% of the first $200,000 and 2% of the balance. Let's say your purchase price is $600,000. The first $200,000 is $2,000. Balance $400,000 will be $8,000. So there will be like $10,000 on purchase on top of your purchase price. $600,000 for the property, $10,000, and this cannot be included in your mortgage. You need to have some extra cash for this. And same way, if you're going for the GST, if the property is over $800,000, you pay 5% GST, which is $40,000 of $800,000. Plus the same rule, first $200,000 is 1% and balance $6,000, so $14,000 for the property transfer tax. Harsh, I can confirm GST can be included in your mortgage amount, but not the property transfer tax. You need to have some extra cash on your in your pocket. And after you get the property, the possession has been done, your regular expenses will be your utility bills, internet and all these things. You need to pay like monthly insurance fees for that, and plus the moving expenses. Bye. Can you go to the next one? Okay, so any questions regarding the cost?
So I would like to just add one point what Rahul mentioned. Yes, GST is applicable to new properties when you're buying directly from the builder, like pre-sale condos and all. And we cover the GST as a part of the mortgage as well. So you guys don't need to pay separately out of pocket. We can include it in the mortgage loan amount.
In the mortgage, yeah. Okay.
Sorry, I have one question. So I just assume if I buy a resale house, which means I don't need to pay any GST.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Not 100%. Depends on the property. Let's say if you're buying a house and it has been like remodeled, gutted and completely built, like all the they put like drywalls, new roof, a lot like new stuff. Then you're subject to pay GST on top of it.
Okay, got it.
Right.
Good point, Rahul. I never knew that.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. One more point I would like to add here. When it's a new property, and Rahul, correct me. I mean, as from the lawyer's perspective, what I've seen, people get confused. If you buy a new property, which is like pre-sale, you have to pay a GST and a property transfer tax both.
You're asking, okay, no, bhai, if it's less than 750, you don't have to.
No, less than 750,
like investment property, then you have to.
Yeah, less than 750 new house, you only pay GST. You don't pay property transfer tax because you're a first-time buyer and it's a new property.
Exactly.
But if you're a second-time buyer and you're buying a pre-sale which is like below 750 or above 750, then you have to pay a GST and a property transfer tax as well. Just to let everyone know, people do get stuck up. Oh, I never thought I have to pay a property transfer tax over GST as well. No, GST plus PTT is a cost you need to consider.
Right.
And I apologize, I missed on one thing in my slides when I mentioned about the cost. In final mortgages, the customers are liable to pay for the appraisal fees. An appraisal fee can vary about $300-400, something like that. That is the only small piece of cost which everyone pays. And I sincerely apologize. I forgot to add that in a point. I should have added that. So just adding to this cost factor in the whole home buyer's journey.
Hello, Raghu. I have one question. So I just assume also this GS is for any type of houses, condo, apartment,
Yeah,
townhouse, whatever it is.
anytime,
Yep.
brand new, yes,
Mm.
you have to pay GST on top of it.
Awesome.
Yep. All right. Okay. So next slide is market update. Like we have compared like previous month, September 2022, October 2022 with the last month, with the last year. Like in the first, the drawing you can see, last September 2021, 3149 units were sold. And this September only 1687 were sold. There were like less buyers in the market, like market was pretty hot last year. And last October, 34, almost 3,500 properties were sold, which includes the condos, detached homes, and the townhouses. And this year, 1903 were sold in October. But if you compare September 2022 to October 22 within a month, like the market has gone up. And if you look at the Metro Vancouver like market highlights, you know, the detached home, the second one is the sales, number of sales happened 577, 333. And for the apartment, it's 995. Basically, it means like some investors and a lot of home buyers are in the market right now. That's why. But can we go to the next? Okay, not too clear, but yeah, at least you can see what's happening here. Home indexes prices, you know, the market has gone up at the peak and it came down right now. And the other one is the sales to active listing ratio. Say like how many active listings are there and how many have been sold. And if you need the live data, you know, I can pass the links to Amit Bhai and he can share in the group.
Yeah, all that information we can post into the, so all this pitch deck, this whole slides we will share in the WhatsApp group. And so, and any other information or any questions you may have follow up, you can always ask in the group. We'll keep the group active for a couple of weeks, and then maybe we'll close that group off.
Yeah. Okay, so this is the last slide. So walking you through the whole process. Mike, can you open all of them? And there's one there. Okay, so starting again, like the first step, getting the pre-approval with your bank or with your mortgage broker. Second step is you meet the realtor, give all the requirements to the realtor. He'll set up a listing. You start looking for the properties, and if you look like a property, you know, put an offer on the property. Offer gets accepted. The first thing, you send the accepted offer to your mortgage broker, and they'll start working on it. And they're like other subjects like getting the inspection done, going through the strata documents, going through the title, property disclosures, statement, getting the insurance approval. And once all the subjects have been removed, you pay the deposit for 5%. And again, after that comes the closing, which will be done by the lawyer or the notary. So they will tell you, they will call you 4 or 5 days before the closing, and they will get your signature. They will explain all the things, all the expenses you have to pay. And next day after the completion, you get the possession, you get the keys. And that day you can move in. Okay, so inspection is done before the subject removal, but we will do like a walkthrough inspection on the day of the possession, that all the appliances, everything is working fine. Any problem, only time we have is like 24 hours to report to the listing agent. If you report after 24 hours, they won't do anything for us. Let's say if any appliances are not working, we can get back to them and they might be able to fix it for us. Any questions in the process?
Anybody who does not understand this whole process, right from starting of journey to getting your keys, any process that somebody does not know. Okay, then that's awesome. Thank you so much for joining, everybody.